must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military industrial complex.
What's up, everybody? Another episode of Ripple Effect Podcast. Today we got an awesome show. We got Mike Martin from Ludlow, my hometown, and weirdly enough, he's from Ludlow. We have all these mutual friends, and yet we've never met before. So
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Thanks, Mike, for being with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And
a lot of history here in Ludlow.
Yeah. I remember being a kid going to your family's. Well, I don't know. Can you say the name of it? Is that okay? Pop and Cork?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if you're keeping some of that shit secret.
No. It's been a long time. I think we sold that in like 2007. So, that was my whole, the first 28 years of my life was spent in that store. How's the levels on this bad boy? Is it working out?
Yeah, I was just, or you can push it a little closer to you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah. So I remember during the interview you were saying how like you've never really had a real job. How because you worked for your family and then now that. And
that was when you working there, it was just like it was real in the sense I was working 50 or 60 hours a week, so it wasn't like I was not doing anything, but. It doesn't feel real when like you're working with all your family and your friends, and it was just.
But sometimes that makes it harder. Like we have a family-owned business, and I know that we butt heads a lot when we first went in business because it's like
kind of a disaster.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah,
the whole 9 to 5 thing wasn't really my idea of the American dream.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome, man, because like now you really do, and that's what's cool about like when I was trying to get in touch with you, I'm like somebody I know must know Mike, because I'm like he's from the same town. I'm like it'd be awesome because I've had musicians on, I've had comedians, all these people, but I'm like to have somebody that's from my town that's like it's now as successful as you and tour all over the world, has had hit singles and all that stuff, and I'm like I have to get this guy on. And
well apparently like a lot of people I know.
yeah well I was only a couple years younger than you in high school, and
that's crazy. Sorry about the whole like that stuff. It all took forever.
What's that? The manager thing. Yeah.
Just setting everything up. That should have been like we should have done this like 2 months ago. But this summer was like a disaster for me. It was like half like really good and then half annoying and kind of hectic. So, but sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
If you ever want to do this again sometime, it'll be way easier. I promise.
How did the manager thing go? Did you
great.
Find somebody you like?
Yeah, we got actually the same management. The same guys that do Kill Switch Engage, and I've known them for years anyways, just as like friends. So it's a really good vibe now.
Oh, it's the same guys who manage Kill Switch?
Yeah, the guys that manage them now manage us. So we've been to baseball games together, and we've just hung out, and they're just good people, and you can tell like there's a big difference already. I used to be around them a lot just because I lived with Adam from Kill Switch Engage.
Oh, you did?
I lived in Southampton with him. When I moved out of Ludlow, I moved to Southampton for 2.5 years, and I was living with Adam, who plays guitar in Kill Switch. And just be around him and bump into their managers, and his managers would get us into a lot of shows that we wanted to go to. And now they're our managers, so everything's smoothed out on that front, and the album's done, and everything's ready to get released, and so it's cool.
Yeah, your new album, it's I saw 2015, obviously, sometime, right?
Yeah, February 24th.
Nice.
Yes.
And you're still signed to the same label, or are you?
Yeah, Razor and Tie. We've been with them for a while. I don't even know when the actual merge kind of happened, because we used to be on something called Prosthetic Records, and then they kind of joined together as like a double label, and then like the prosthetic thing kind of fizzled out, and now it's just Razor and Tie. So I don't really.
And
I don't know how any of that crap even works. I don't even know officially when prosthetic wasn't even part of it anymore. But I think the guy there hates us now anyway, so it's fine.
Well, it is funny because I've seen some interviews with you, and I know people asking you about the lyrics and stuff like that, and you'll be like, "Dude, I don't write the lyrics." Like,
Yeah, I don't.
I
Yeah.
barely know the words to the songs.
No, I don't, and I don't know a lot of the words of the songs. I concentrate on
Your job,
my
yeah.
job when I have
Yeah.
to get. I got to make sure I'm just doing what I got to get done. I can't. I'm very coordinated with a lot of things. I'm very uncoordinated with like playing guitar, and like if I'm singing along to our own song while I'm playing, I'll completely just mess up the guitar.
Really?
Yeah, it's so weird how it just throws me off. Like I have a lot of respect for people that can sing and play guitar at the same time. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're like Trivium does it, right? Trivium.
Yeah, the main guy that blows me away, who always has because of the stuff he's playing, is James Hetfield.
Yeah,
If you try to play Master of Puppets and sing it,
it's fucking wild.
it's absurd that any human being can do that. So, he's like the best rhythm guitar player of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is that it's almost like you have to break your brain into two, and like one controls your mouth and like your melody, and then the other one controls your hands. And it's like it seems because I remember when me and my brother used to have a band, and I used to do the same thing. And I'll be fucking honest, man, I never really got good at it. I mean,
It's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah, I mean, like it was one of those things where it was just like, I could do simple shit when I was singing, or I either had to be focused on one or the other. Either it was gonna be shitty melodies or like very little thinking in the singing, or very little. And have you do any background vocals live?
No,
Is that
our bass player Jeannie? She does
that's right.
all
Yeah.
that.
How is that, dude? We'll go touring with a girl. Like obviously people always talk about like on tours how like a lot of times guys are just slobs because obviously you have no one to impress.
Yeah. Disgusting.
She handled that well.
Yeah, well, she's a tomboy. It's like she's more of a dude than a lot of the guys on the road are out there with makeup and flattening irons for their hair.
Yeah.
They're like the girliest girls you could ever imagine, and they're actual guys. Jeannie's like, she's not like that at all. She's super easy to have around. She's just quiet and, she doesn't take up a lot of space, and she's not loud and annoying and overly obnoxious. So,
and it's probably nice to have like a female input once in a while, no? Like when guys are like testosterone levels are high and guys are going at it. Maybe is she like the equalizer? Like guys, calm down. Or
no, she doesn't talk.
Really?
she barely. She's a very quiet. She's always been very quiet. She's just yeah, she's not gonna like if things are going crazy. She's definitely not the personality style that's gonna jump into the middle of it and try to
Stop,
calm things
guys.
down.
Yeah.
She'll just like kind of like go into another room.
Well, you've been in the band since 04, right? I think
02.
Oh, 02. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been in there for basically most of it. Because I know you've
all
had
of it. I didn't do the first record, but I did the touring on it. Basically, they put out their first album and they did one tour, and that was it. They kicked the guy out, and I joined after that. So I did all the touring on that first record, which wasn't really like extensive touring because it wasn't a successful album at all. So it was just like, I think I did like 3 months or something like that. It was extensive for that 3 months, but we were playing for nobody every night and living in a van. So it was just get home and do an album that, people are going to want to hear. Because the first one wasn't I don't think it was like what this band, or Phil's vision of what he wanted it to be. I think once the second one came out, that's when like things started to kind of like pan out the way he probably wanted it.
Was Ali your guitar teacher or something like that? Did I?
Ali.
Remember? Yeah, I remember reading.
Yeah,
that somewhere. Was
3 years.
So is
I
that how
met
you
him-
got? Is that how you got in the band?
Well, yeah, I was working with a guy at Pop and Cork, and he was just like, "Oh, you got to meet, this buddy of mine. He teaches. He'll teach you if you want." And I used to hated taking lessons at a store when I was little, like that. I quit. I just quit guitar completely when I
Like
was
Music Men or something like that?
Yeah, I was at Falsetti's when I was like 8 years old, and I just hated it. I did it for 4 years, but I only did it because my dad wanted me to, but I didn't like it. I just wanted to play sports. And my buddy at Pop and Cork was like, "Oh, just meet this guy." So he had Ollie come into Pop and Cork one day, and he just came in and he was like, "Oh, hey, you want to take lessons?" "Yeah, sure." And then every week we'd start doing that. I tried out. It was a weird circle because when Phil needed a band at first for All That Remains, I tried out right away. I wasn't good enough at all. Like I met Phil in Chicopee one day at his old house, and he started showing me the songs, and I was like, "This is bad." Like I could just tell it was just like out over my head. So I said, "Why don't you have my teacher come down to a tryout because he's a metal guy and he's great." So Ollie went down, ended up joining the band through me. And then he was in the band for like 2 years. Then they finally put out that album and did one tour. The other guitar player didn't work out. But by that time, I'd been taking lessons from Ollie for 2 years. So I was two and a half years better technically. So like those songs weren't hard to me anymore. And then at that point, Phil was like, I was hanging out with Phil a lot because my old band was just playing with All the Remains a lot.
Was that Flatline?
Yeah.
I remember Flatline.
Which was, we would practice in Ludlow in our
Yeah.
parents' basement over off of Katy Street.
I bet you I could still find that album.
Yeah, I still got like a box full.
Dude,
of
that
them.
album was actually really badass. Maybe like you're gonna. I don't know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it's, to me they're embarrassing, but
Well, yeah, because
it's a good stepping stone. It was a good learning process. It was like I listen back and I'm like, wow, we had no idea what we were doing, but it was fun.
But I think for like when I was young, obviously I was young when I heard that album, and at that time there was nothing mainstream or anything that was really popular that was that heavy, that dark, and still used like the riffs, and like you could tell like the guitar work and stuff was thought out. Like you guys wanted to be a metal band, and
that was...
instead of like just hardcore and just play heavy shit and not like really do any technical stuff. And
I was a psycho with that stuff, and I was learning from all the bands that I was going to see around the area, whether it was Killswitch or Shadows Fall or whoever. Those were big bands. Shadows Fall was the first band that Shadows Fall is like the band that got me into this kind of music. So
really, yeah,
yeah. Well, and Phil was in it.
Yeah,
and then I've listened to Shadows Fall for so long. But like Phil being in that band at first, I thought Phil was like a rock star. When I met him, I was like, oh my god. But by the time me and Phil were playing a lot of shows together, he was just like, you can obviously play the stuff now. You've been learning from Ollie for 3 years, and you just joined the band. It wasn't even a tryout at that point. He was just like, you just join the band. And I remember another guy. I don't know if you know the name Dave Sharp.
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a great guitarist. He tried out during that time, and he was just like eons better than me. But I think Phil just wanted me in the band because we were friends.
Yeah.
So everybody in the band was like, "Oh, so we're going to take Dave, right?" And Phil was like, "No," because Phil's like the final word guy. It's his band. So he took me because we hung out a lot. So I got lucky with that one because Dave Sharp was far better guitar player than I am still. So,
but you guys obviously touring together and stuff like that. I mean, finding people you get along with is a huge part of it too, I'm sure.
It's more important actually because of the time you spend together, and we've been through so many people at this point. And it was like when you're home, it's completely different. You're rehearsing a couple times a week, or you go play the Fat Cat on a Sunday or something, or whatever club's having shows at the time, and then you don't know until you get stuck with that person for 24 hours a day for 6 straight weeks in a van, and because you can't afford hotels, so you're brushing your teeth on the side of the highway with bottled water and stuff. So
yeah, that's
when you find out who's not going to work out really quickly. And man, we went through some people.
Well, I think that's kind of similar with like the moving in with people today before you marry them. I think that's a great decision because it's one of those things. It's like buying a car before you test drive it. It's like you don't see people's flaws and their bad tendencies and things. You can't figure out if you can or cannot live with them until you are with them 24/7.
I think that should be a law that you if you're dating someone, you move in with them for like a while to make sure first. I don't think it should be any other way, and that's obviously the divorce rate's so high. It's because people, they don't, like you just said, you don't know.
Yeah.
Then you move in with the person and you're like, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate your guts.
Dude, and that's why I have such an issue with like the legal system making divorce so hard to get out of, because it's like, dude, you're only going to live like, hopefully cross your fingers around until you're 80, 90 years old with some decent health,
Yeah.
And it's like, so imagine like, and you don't get to hit the reset button. Like you don't get to redo it. So it's like, imagine waking up next to somebody that despises you or you despise every single day of your life and knowing that that's it. Like this is going to be my life forever until I die. Like this person hates me. I hate them. It's like that's why it's, I know, and I'm actually getting married soon, but it's just one of those things where like, even though I like the legal part of it, that it's nice to, be on it, have the same name and like you be able to put each other on each other's insurance and stuff like that. But,
you get deals.
Yeah, you get some deals, but it's definitely one of those things where I definitely hate the fact that there's people out there that unfortunately are in shitty situations and can't get out of it because like they know that financially they're fucked. But if like, oh, if I divorce her, she's gonna fucking take all my shit. I think I just saw a statistic recently that like 70 or 80% of divorces are initiated by the female. You know, which I think some of it does have to do with like financial gain. You know, I think a little bit. You know, but a lot of those laws are old. Like I found out that the reason why they have what's that? Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. That thing when the woman gets your money after you divorce her.
Well, the prenups.
No, not the prenups. So like to continue that lifestyle, like you have to give her a certain amount of money.
Oh, alimony.
Alimony, exactly. That came from, I guess, back in the day when women, and it makes sense. Like women at one time, they, you know, you could live off one income. So women, you know, they basically sacrificed their career to take care of the house, take care of the family. Yeah. So, you know, and that was it. So, and then if you did have a divorce, she was fucked because she couldn't support herself because she didn't have any income. She didn't have any work experience. But today it's like that all changes because like today women are just as independent and, you know, in many cases make as much money as guys.
Yeah, or
so
more.
Or more. So it's like, what about their like lifestyle? What about maintaining their, you know, financial?
Yeah,
you know?
I think marriage is just a bad idea in general. I think that label, like,
tell your girlfriend
like,
turn this shit off.
Well, just like human nature. Well, she feels the same way.
Really?
Yeah, it's like human nature to feel trapped once you're like, you know, you sign something or something like that, and you're just like locked in, and it's like you automatically feel like a caged animal, and all you want to do is get out.
You're right.
I don't think it's I think if you did away with the whole concept, I think a lot of people would end up together forever, very happily. I really think it's just like the label and like the
psychology of
how
it,
final it seems.
That scares
and a lot of people just look at it like when they're going into it like that. It's like, oh, cool, I'm dead now.
Yeah, well,
and
you're
then you
right.
just want to get out, and you go get drunk every night, and you hate your life, and you just try to kill yourself with alcohol because you don't want to be alive anymore.
Yeah, no,
Which
but
I hope your marriage goes better than that. But I have a bad outlook. I haven't seen many. I haven't seen very many good examples, so I have a pretty bad outlook on it. So
I know a handful of friends that actually have like the ideal marriage, and like they seem happy, and of course they butt heads, but like they've figured out how to work it out. And I think the big thing isn't so much avoiding fighting. Like anytime you meet that couple that's like, oh, we never fight, I'm like, you're a fucking liar or you're crazy. I'm like, if you never fight, I'm like, you're full of shit. Or once you do fight, it's the end of the relationship. And my thing isn't like avoid fighting. My thing is I think you have to learn how to deal with them once they come, like know how to resolve them. That's the key. Like, because you're not going to avoid fighting, but if you learn how to resolve them, then like every time you do fight, you'll figure out how to, you know, and you have to learn how to fucking, you know, just like being in a band, you have to learn how to, you know, check your ego every once in a while. And, you know, and I'm sure that's huge.
Compromise.
Yeah. How does
that
that
fun stuff?
Being in a band, it's almost like preparing for marriage because, you know, butting heads and compromising. And
it's it's like a 5.
You guys,
once you get a crew too, it's like it ends up being like a 10-person marriage instead of a 5-person marriage.
Really?
There's a lot going on.
I figured the crew guys would be like, oh, we're just employees, so we can't, you know, piss anybody off.
Well, you know, it's weird when you start, you have because you don't have the money to pay people a decent amount, a lot of times you end up taking friends because they're just like, oh, I just want to go see the country. And I just want to tell my friends that I went on tour. So a lot of people do it for that reason, but then you're out there. Then they realize they're not making that much money, and then they realize that you guys are good friends, so they can say whatever they want to you, and it becomes more of like a screw you, you don't tell me what to do, instead of like an employer-employee relationship, which is technically, you know, honestly how it should be because we are paying them to be out there. They should listen to what we're saying. Not that we're going to be jerks about it, but within reason, you know, just do your job.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've had a lot of experiences with you know, people just throwing their weight around too much because, hey, I knew you. We've known each other forever, so you listen to me. I don't listen to you. And it was like, you're fired.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's like when I was bringing up working with family. There is something about like when you have employees that are just employees and you don't have that established relationship outside of that it's almost easier to be like, they know they can be fired at any time, and you know it's like you kind of don't go over that line. But when there's that comfort level of like, I've known this person forever, even though he's my boss, I still feel like he's just like, we're in high school and I can tell him to fuck off. Like then that's
worked with cousins, and then you got, you know, you pissed them off, and then your aunt and uncle are pissed because you pissed them off, and then you're working with your grandparents or your in-laws, and you know my mom hates my grandmother, and you know, all my grandparents are dead now, but. It's like, you know, it was a disaster. I just waking up and having to do that every morning anyways was just, I got out. I couldn't wait to get out of high school. I hated high school.
No,
like,
me
you wouldn't
too.
believe. And you,
Yeah.
like, you know, people that I know, and if you talk to them about how I was in high school, I was like, everybody knew me as the dude that was like, get me out of here. I already have a job. Get me out of here, because I had a family business.
Yeah, so-
and wasn't going to college.
And you're like, I don't need
And my
this shit.
teachers knew, because I was always nice to my teachers, and they liked me, and they knew I wasn't trying very hard, because they're like, you're going to go sell beer. We get it. So, and like, I remember like senior year ended up being so much fun when you kind of don't realize it while it's happening, because you don't know how to appreciate anything when you're 17 years old, but you realize all of a sudden, as soon as that ended, like I graduated on a Friday, and then like on Monday I was working full time. I remember after like the first week, I was just like, I just waited like 18 years to get out of high school, and I just want to go back now. This is awful. Every morning I woke up, I was like, I hate this. So I was like, I'm gonna start a band. I gotta do something. So that ended up working out, thank God, because I was really like not into the. I like routine to an extent, but when it comes to like a job that I hate every day, I'm all set.
Yeah, well, that's like my buddy that's overseas playing basketball. Like, same thing. Like, he travels all over Europe, and he like really doesn't have any real job security, because it's like you sign for a year for a team, and then next, if you get hurt, you could be fucked, and be looking for work again. And I always remind him, I'm like Renato, I'm like, dude, remember the rest of us working 9 to 5 or 7 to 4 or whatever. And I'm like, we're working shitty jobs. I'm like, you at least get to do what you love. But I think the thing about doing what you love is no matter how much you enjoy doing something, if you do it enough, it'll feel like work.
Yeah,
right?
You stop loving it. Yeah. The band has felt like work for a long time now.
Really?
It's not like, oh man, this is like my buddies in the garage. It hasn't felt like that in a long time. It's a job.
Is that because you guys haven't taken a lot of time off from album to album, or?
Yeah, well, it's been just a nonstop train for like at least 12 years now, because you put a record out, you go on the road for it's a year or two cycle, depending on the success of the album. If the album does really well, you're out there for 2 years, going to every country or wherever place will have you and give you money, and then as soon as you get off that 2-year cycle, or however long it is, you're right back into a rehearsal space, because you have to get it written and recorded super quick just to get back on the road, because that's the only way you make money now. Because like we said before, we started rolling, and this is rolling, right?
Yeah.
I have very bad luck with technology. I would hate to.
Now you're scaring me.
I would hate to be here for 2 hours and have this not be working. It's just a double check. Fine.
That happened with my buddy Inato. We were here. We were recording, and then I don't know what happened. We heard a noise in the headset, but it didn't even hit us what it was. So we're talking, and I haven't seen him in a while. So we started drinking little by little. It's like a half an hour into the show, and we're feeling pretty good, And then he's like, "Dude, I gotta pee." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So he goes to the bathroom. I look at the computer. I'm like, "Fuck, none of that recorded." So then we start recording again, and then I remember the next day when I started editing and to put it online, I'm like, holy fuck, we sound annihilated. And it was just like, I'm like, at least if you heard us from like the beginning, slowly getting drunker, I'm like, it would be all right. Yeah. But it's like, just to hear like right from the beginning, us being like slurring our words and stuff. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, should I even put this up? I'm like, oh, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah. People like that stuff.
They do.
It's like, I've had that on the road. Just, a guy brings a little recorder thing, and you do the whole interview, and it takes a half an hour. And, on the road, interviews are kind of more of a pain in the ass, because I want to do whatever I'm doing during the day, and get it done. And it's like, oh yeah, none of that recorded. Can we do it again? And no.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that does happen. And how does that work? Do you guys have any say in the interviews you guys do, or does the management or something say you have to do this many interviews?
We get the press lists for whatever city we're in and stuff. And over the years, I've learned, pretty much anybody can kind of get in touch with somebody now to get an interview. So it's to me, it's really frustrating, because you have the people that you got to do. If Revolver calls and says because we're going to be on, I think we're going to be on the cover of Revolver in January.
Nice,
which is cool. It's like our first like major cover actually, which is, I think that's really cool. It's something I've always wanted. So if someone said like, oh, you have an interview with Revolver today, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's stupid, I don't want to do it. The thing is, a lot of these kids that don't know anything find a way to contact somebody and find a way to show up at the show 3 hours before doors, and you got to go sit in the dressing room with them, and like, they don't know anything about the band, and you can tell they just don't care. Or you're talking to them in the interview and they're not even looking at you, they're on their phone, and
oh, that's the worst.
And I'm just like, oh man, this stuff, like when you're on the road for 6 weeks and you've kind of had enough of everything, interviews like that start getting to the point where you're like, does this matter? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So that gets frustrating because you can tell the ones that are like going to make a difference and the ones that you're just like, you are literally just wasting my life away right now.
And I'm sure you like appreciate the people who actually are fans and are like excited to like, get somebody or let people see a one-on-one experience with a band member of a band they like and stuff.
That's cool. Just know a little. You don't have to like, I'm not expecting someone to like just do research for hours and hours and know everything. But
yeah,
I had an interview and I see this kid still. He's in Ohio. He plays in like a local band in Cleveland or something. But I was in Cleveland one time on a tour and I went into the dressing room with this kid and he's nervous, really nervous. But he says, "Okay, so you guys are from Canada, right?" And I'm just like, "Nope."
Really?
He's like, the next question was just like, so this is like your second album, like it's like our fifth. Like, oh,
you guys aren't Nickelback?
It's like, oh, okay, so you've been in the band for like a couple of years now, right? Like 12. He was just sitting there like he was having a breakdown, right? He just knew nothing. He was giving like the opposite facts. I don't know if you read the wrong band's Wikipedia page or something.
Yeah, probably.
But I still bump into him every now and again when we're in Cleveland, and I'm just like, we're not from Canada, dude. And he's like, I know, I'm sorry. So we laugh about it and stuff. It's not like I was like screaming and yelling at the kid. But at the time I was just like, come on, man. Just figure it out.
Well, that's the thing. Like everything's online now. That literally like 2 seconds before the show, you could find something out about it.
You don't even have to. You can cram for 5 minutes before the person comes in.
Yeah.
It's just, I've done a lot of stupid interviews. And I always joke with Phil too, because Phil's the singer. He gets the important ones. And so when we're on the road, it's like it feels like I have to go do all the dumb ones. But like when like there's a big one, everyone goes, get Phil. He's got to do this one. This is a big one. And I always bust everybody about it because I'm just like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'll get the ones that don't matter. Just take up my time. That's fine. I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, I love metalmusic.org is here for Mike.
Yeah, it's just like, here we go.
Yeah.
You guys are from Sweden? Nope.
Well, I think that's one of those things where I think people always find like the singer, they always think they're going to be the most interesting because if they write the lyrics and stuff like that, then, he'll have more to say about that. And I'm sure that probably gets a little annoying, just like, the lyrics thing, like, how do you guys write the lyrics? And you're like, I don't fucking write the lyrics.
Well, I don't care about that stuff too much because, every band works differently. So, sometimes the guitar player, the bass player comes in with, here's these lyrics, you want to use them, cool. It's like, Cannibal Corpse or someone like that. The singer doesn't write any lyrics. He just doesn't. He can't. So
who does it?
I think the bass player or the drummer who like runs everything, that does all the artwork, does everything.
But that used to be huge. Like you used to see a lot of metal bands where like basically people were just paid help. Like you have like 2 guys write all the music and then everybody else would just show up and play. And don't you think like something like that, like after a while would be like, you'd be like, oh, this isn't fulfilling. Like I'm not a part of the process. I'm not a part of the artistic creative process of writing.
Yeah, for those people, if I was talented enough and I was like John Mayer and I could just write a bunch of songs and hire an entire band, I'd be fine with it. Yeah, but I can't. I need other people to do that stuff. I can't write vocal melodies and lyrics and stuff like that. So, but I understand. Like if John Mayer is why is he gonna give other people his money? He wrote all the songs and they're done. So just pay a bunch of people to come out on the road. Yeah,
well, that makes sense to pay musicians, but it's the thing with me. It's like metal bands when like you'd have the bassist or guitarist who doesn't do the vocals or whatever, and then you have somebody who comes in and just plays all those parts. And I guess it's just one of those things where maybe you're right, maybe it is normal, but for metal, you always assume like, the guitarist probably writes the guitar riffs, or the singer probably, you always had this thing in your head. And then I remember opening up CDs for kids who still know what CDs are, and just seeing like, oh shit, like these 2 guys wrote all the songs, or like that one guy wrote.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. I'm sure for some people, like you said, it's just like, I'm like a robot. Just you feel like you're working at a factory, but.
That makes you more replaceable too, I'm sure. Obviously.
Yeah.
But you guys actually, everybody put in like their 2 cents in your writing process of a song.
Yeah, there's a lot of like. We are a weird like group of people. The personalities are real weird. No one's like, this band has like the least in common you could ever imagine.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like. When we're off the road, like no one's calling each other like, "Hey, we got to get together," because nobody has no one shares any common interests. It's like we get off the road and everyone splits off and do things that they like, and none of it's the same, So, but as far as interviews and stuff like that, I don't mind people wanting to go to Phil for the important stuff. Phil's very outspoken, And he's the guy on the internet that likes to stir it up, and he likes to piss people off, and he does it on purpose, and it works.
What is like Twitter feed and shit like that?
Oh yeah, like I don't know if you pay attention to any of the stuff he says, but man,
I've heard, yeah.
Oh, he gets the internet going, and people think he's an asshole. Like people think Phil is like, the people that like him like love him. They'll follow everything and agree with everything, and they love him. But man, if you disagree with Phil, like some of these people on the internet, they hate his guts. Well, and he loves it because it's like he's first of all, he's firing them up on purpose, and they're falling for it every single time. So I get a kick out of it, but it's like,
has he tweeted something about Ferguson yet?
Yeah, he texted me the other day. He's like, man, right after the verdict was read and stuff, brought out a lot of racism in people. We were just like going back and forth about it. I'm surprised. He's a huge gun guy.
Yeah.
And lately, it seems like every other day, someone's getting shot in public now. And as soon as someone gets shot in public, everyone says, ban guns. No one should be allowed to have guns. And then Phil obviously takes exception to that. So that turns into like an internet fight with everybody. But, Phil's the outspoken internet guy. He's like the main personality in the band. So a lot of stuff goes to him, and that's fine. I don't think anybody else in the band really, if it's guitar stuff, it's going to go to Ollie. Ollie's the lead guitar player. So a lot of even the guitar stuff wouldn't go directly to me first. Sometimes it's both of us, but, press and stuff like that, it's not. If I don't have to do it, I'm not mad.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, it's funny, the gun thing, because I know that he has like a American like tattoo or the American flag or something like that on his arm, and he seems like like Phil seems like the gun loving dude, and
well, yeah, it seemed like a drastic switch to us. I joke with him all the time about it, because he wasn't like. I just tell him now, I'm like, dude, you just turned into like Ted Nugent all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, Ted I hope not that bad.
Because it was like so all of a sudden, he just wasn't like that at all. And then all of a sudden, he just moved to New Hampshire and just like became a hillbilly. And we bust.
What's their slogan? Live free or die?
We bust his balls about it all the time. It was just all of a sudden something he was just like.
Well, I think people get, because actually it's funny because I've checked his I remember once I checked his Twitter feed and I wanted to see some of the people he followed that I followed. And because I was wondering, I'm like, where is he getting like this point of view? I'm sure we like some of the same people. And I know he's a Ron Paul fan. I'm a Ron Paul fan. Yeah, I noticed that he follows Alex Jones and some of the other people. And the thing is with me, it's like, I feel like anytime you fall into any ideology, you can be a little closed-minded to other ideas. The problem with the gun debate is that you do get people who are like, yeah, you should take all the guns away, and it's just like, no, that's not the answer either, man. Like you look at all the places with the most gun crime, it's places with really strict laws. But I don't think if you give everybody a gun, we're safer either. But I usually think like the truth lies somewhere in between, the two. And I think that the problem with like you're saying, Phil having like this drastic change, I think sometimes that happens because you find an ideology that really relates to you and you're like, holy shit, like this makes sense, and all of a sudden you pick that team. And I think it goes back to like where these tribal people were like, oh, I'm a Chevy guy, you're a Ford guy, or I'm a Verizon guy, you're a T-Mobile. It's like we always pick these teams, and it's like once you pick a team, or I'm a Red Sox guy, you're a Yankees guy. Once you pick a team, you can never say like the other team ever makes a point. And I think that we have to catch ourselves, because I think sometimes you're like, did I fall into dogma? Am I falling into an ideology where I'm just agreeing with everything that my team says, not because I actually think it makes sense, but because you got
to have your own identity still.
Absolutely.
To an extent, I think exactly what you're saying is right. People kind of just, you turn into like this, like, oh, just follow whatever that is. And that's okay. I think that too. Yeah. I've agreed in the past, so I agree now too.
Yeah. And that's a little scary, man. Cause I think that, a lot of times you'll fall in, like, I love Ron Paul. I think Ron Paul, when he was running for president, he made more sense than anybody else. And he's one of the few that has been in politics the longest and didn't have skeletons in his closets like a lot of the other guys. But I don't agree that free market, let corporations run everything and we'll be better. I mean, I agree with his foreign policy. I think that we do invade a lot of countries we shouldn't, and we should, and I agree with decriminalizing drugs and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
I pay zero attention to politics, and Phil wants to punch me in the face for it.
Really?
I'm part of the problem. People like you don't pay attention to anything. You're the problem. And whatever, that's fine. That's okay. But I'm still not going to pay attention.
I think, don't we need a little bit of both? Don't we need some people who are, because, I mean, doesn't that make you almost, like, okay, what's worse? Somebody who's, and I'm not saying Phil is, but I'm saying somebody who does say that you're the problem. what's worse, somebody who's brainwashed by ideology or somebody who isn't brainwashed by anything? And if you'll just listen to an idea and you'll be like, no, that makes sense. No, that doesn't make sense. And you're like, I don't pay attention to shit. But if somebody throws an idea at me,
I think it's better this way. But a lot of those people aren't going to agree. So
yeah.
I'm sure as hell not going to argue about it, because then I'm just going to turn into an idiot Neanderthal and just punch someone in the face. I just don't want to talk about it.
Well, it's funny that that even though like people say, oh, the rest of the world hates Americans, the one thing people still love about America is metal. Like I always hear about how when bands tour overseas, like Europeans and they love metal bands.
Yeah, it's a different world over there. I've noted. We've done stuff in Sweden where they're playing when we're here. Our stuff gets played on the radio, but it's the softer, more accessible stuff, which, we can get in all that later too, as far as like the selling out goes, because we hear a lot of that.
Yeah. It was funny. I Googled something recently on you guys, and I found he must have been some Scorn fan that did a YouTube video saying how all their remains sold out. And I'm like, this motherfucker actually did a video and put it online.
Oh yeah. And we're still winning. You're going to take that much time out of your day. It's like, dude, we win.
Yeah.
Okay? I lost my train of thought on what I was going here. What were we talking about?
We're touring Europe, Sweden.
Oh yeah, okay. You talking about I heard us on the radio driving here, which I still think is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, that is.
I was just flipping through the stations because I was getting sick of sports talk radio for a second, and 99.3 came out. Our song was on. I'll never get old to me. I think it's the coolest thing in the world every time we get played on the radio, because when I was working at Pop and Cork and I was a little kid, listening to WAAF every day in the Redemption Center, sorting everyone's dirty cans, I would never thought in a million years we'd have a song on the radio. We used to get played on radio stations at 4:00 in the morning because that was the only time you could play any of our stuff.
Well, AF did that, right? They had a late night show where they played Soulfly. They played all. That's
because they could only play the heavy stuff in the middle of the night. But now we're getting played. We get played in the daytime now, which is nice. It's cool.
And you guys are still a really heavy band for a band that gets played on domestic radio. And
well, yeah, and people don't realize that because they listen to one song and they get pissed and they say we sold out, which we can talk all about that. But yeah, you go to Sweden, with doing an interview in Sweden one time, and I just they're playing heavy stuff during the day, all screaming, and that's just the way it is over there.
But there's a lot of metal.
In Scandinavia, they're just playing death metal on the radio.
Well, they have the history with the Christian churches and all the anti-Christian satanic.
It's Children of Bodom, stuff you would never in a million years. Everybody over here would listen to it and go, "What the hell?" It's on daytime radio.
That's wild.
When Taylor Swift is getting played over here. So it's just weird. It's just different. Everything's different over there, and people really, really do love it. And people are very loyal. Once they like you, they really, really love you.
I think that's a metal thing, don't you think? The fans.
Yeah, well, there's bands over there you just would never think are still bands. And they're gigantic over there. You take a band like Saxon, an old school metal band that kind of no one probably even, everyone just goes, who?
Yeah.
And they're over there headlining a festival for 60,000 people.
Really?
It's just what? So it's weird. It's cool. It's such a different world. It's a culture shock when you go over there. It's weird for, a lot of American bands don't like going over there.
Really?
I know they lie through their teeth and say that they do. And they'll say, it's because of the shows. And that wouldn't be lying, because the shows are great. But, being over there is, when you're that out of your element, you can't use your cell phone because people are cell phone addicts, and taking a cell phone away from someone is like taking heroin away from somebody now. People don't react well when you take their cell phone away.
Yeah.
So, it's weird over there. And a lot of American bands are just not huge on leaving the country for a month or two at a time. So, but it's a lot for a lot of bands. It's really worth it to go over there and play the shows. The fans are great. It's hard. When you start getting burned out on the road and you want to just go order some food at a restaurant, you can't speak,
Is that the first time you left the country, was when you toured with All That Remains?
Leaving the country. Yes. The first time I ever toured, I was playing in Unearth.
Yeah,
filling in for them because
they still have somebody from Ludlow in the band, don't they?
They used to, John. He's not in the band anymore. He lives right on East Street here.
Oh, really?
Right by the Lucky Dog.
Oh,
there's a little condo right next to it. I've been there before. He's a good buddy of mine who I never hear from anymore because he's got a kid. But He's not in the band anymore, but yeah, he was in the band for a long, long time.
Yeah, yeah.
He was in Flatlined as well with me.
Yeah, because I knew that 2 guys from Flatline. I'm like, oh shit, 2 guys from Flatline. I remember I followed you into All That Remains, and then John into Unearthed. I'm like, oh shit, they went to cool bands. I'm like, good for them.
Because I knew him when he joined Unearthed. Every time like one of the guitar players was just running into whether it was issues getting time off of work or issues with his wife or whatever, they would need a fill-in so that he would get a hold of me to do it. And I had never toured before, so I was dying to. It's like, oh, hey, you want to fly out here and do a week worth of shows? And I was like, yeah. So I did that. But
And you liked it? You liked being on the road? And
because it seems weird. It was like the first time I ever did it was like 7 shows, and I was gone, I think, for like 8 or 9 days. And it was weird. I was like, it felt like a long time. And I didn't know if I could adapt, but it was cool. It was just I had to do it a few times to like get like into a groove. But leaving the country and stuff like that, I didn't do any of that until I was in this band. The Unearthed stuff was just like some random U.S. shows and whatever leg of their tour happened to be like, somebody couldn't do. So it was. I appreciate the experience because it was the first time I ever got to play for people.
Yeah.
Because at the time, All That Remains was playing for nobody, and Unearthed was already on the road playing like big shows. So it was really cool to play for these like clubs that were just sold out, and it was a big experience for me.
Dude, I feel like comedians and musicians have like the same route to fame. Like a lot of people see them when they're famous and they have their own bus and they're doing well. But I'm like,
wrestlers too,
and wrestlers. Yeah, we talked about that. You're talking about how you're friends with Chris Jericho, which is
pretty. Him and Seth Rollins, who's that obviously is not his real name, but he's one of the top guys now on TV, and then CM Punk. I've emailed back and forth with him and stuff, so they're all like really cool guys, and a lot of people, a lot of people just think they're on TV and they make $1 million and they're loaded and everything's great, but they were driving themselves to these indie shows, wrestling for nobody 6 nights a week.
It's a hard road,
it's brutal, man. Yeah, and comedians do the same thing, and it's all like,
well, it's weird. Like the people who get, I always find like, and that's the thing. Like this show, I've had like filmmakers on, comedians, musicians, and it's like. And wrestlers too. I've never had a wrestler on, but I've thought about actually getting Rob Van Dam on because I've had a guest on who.
Dude, if that ever happens, I'm coming over.
Well, because he's been on a show that a guy who's been on my show a couple times. This guy Guy Evans, he has his own show, and he's been on Guy Evans' show. And I'm like, dude, this motherfucker's super interesting. He's like really into like spiritual stuff and I'm like, I was a big ECW fan, and him and Sandman had like epic fights, and and
he's a pothead too.
Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe it. He seems like spiritual and
just a weirdo.
Yeah. That's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
Is he weird?
He seems awesome though.
Yeah, he seems like a super cool dude. He was. Just watching, just thinking about like his old fights. I remember like watching his highlights online, and just like I'm like, dude, the fact that these guys could still walk is amazing.
Yeah.
Just even though people say it is fake, obviously with the theater and stuff like that. But dude, you can only jump on somebody so many times before you get hurt, and like you can't fake that.
The furthest thing from fake once you're doing that 300 nights a year. I have so much respect for that business. That's why when I meet those guys, like we played a show with Jericho's band. That's how I met him.
Walls of Jericho.
I knew his tour manager, and I was like, dude, you got to take me into the dressing room so I can meet him, because I've been watching him on TV for 15 years, and it's really cool to see somebody you meet like that, who you've been watching for so long. And he was right away, he was like, oh, I'd love to, have you do my radio show sometime. He was like, take my phone number, and I was like, what?
Is that his podcast or his?
Well, at the time it was like just a radio thing. He hadn't had the podcast yet. It was like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But we just played a show with him in August, and I just saw him then. But I haven't talked to him. I don't talk to him a bunch. He's a busy guy. I'm not gonna text him every day and bother him and be a punisher. But just super nice, and the same way with Seth Rollins. And like when they're in the area, he texts me, hey, you good for tickets tonight? And because I go to a lot of the live shows, because I'm still a big fan. I'm a gigantic child, but dude, they're nice guys, and they've been through a lot more than people think they've been through.
That's why I think they get so defensive when people make fun of like, oh, it's not real. I'm like, dude, these guys. I mean, a lot of these guys have injuries that they'll never be right again. They wake up with aches and pains. I'm like, and then it's like, how do you tell a guy like that, oh, what you do is fake? You like, of course he's gonna take offense to it. I remember when they came out with the pay-per-view special on like, I think it was like the WCW special on like how the rise and fall of WCW.
Oh,
And
I've seen that a million times.
Yeah, and anytime I see
love
those
it.
specials, I love seeing that shit because I was a kid growing up, and I remember Razor Ramon, and I remember everybody migrating from like WWF at that time.
That was the best time in wrestling.
It was because when they were battling.
Oh God! Every Monday night, you're just flipping back and forth.
Yeah,
It was the best thing ever.
and they would steal guys from each other, and
Yeah, it was the best thing ever.
But Vince McMahon seems like a lunatic. I mean, you want to talk about a money like hungry person? Like the fact that he would like make a fool out of himself for ratings, make a fool out of his family for ratings.
Yeah, but he was a great character on TV. I just watched him and Stone Cold did a podcast the other night, and it was like a
Oh yeah,
big.
because Stone Cold has a podcast. I believe, now, too,
Stone
yeah.
Cold had Vince McMahon on it, and they
That must
had
have
it
been
like on because WWE has that like online network thing. It's like Netflix.
Yeah.
And they aired it of them two sitting there and doing. I was me and a buddy of mine were watching it and was loving every second of it.
Dude, he has
Really
one.
cool.
Roddy Piper has one. Jesse Ventura, but obviously Jesse Ventura, he's been into politics and stuff like that. So
I'm sure he doesn't talk a lot of wrestling.
No, but he had like Goldberg on, and they talked wrestling. He was on the Roddy Piper, I think, podcast recently.
A lot of those dudes are nuts. I bet McMahon's a nice guy. He's smart,
He's super. Yeah,
but
he
it's
seems
just, you got to
super
be a
smart.
dick sometimes. If you're gonna be a billionaire, you got to be a dick sometimes.
I think there's something about like to almost make it to that level, you have to be a dick. Like I feel like because just to being a boss, and I'm sure like when you had the family business, you had some experience with like telling people what to do, and it's not a fun thing to do. Like it's not fun.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is. Right.
I hung out with a kid like a month or two ago that my girlfriend was like, "Oh, you got to meet my friend so and so, and she's dating someone I think you know." So we ended up meeting up, and I'm like, "Wow, I know you." And he's like, "Yeah, hey, where you've been playing?" He knew about the band and stuff, and I don't like. I knew him, but I didn't like remember from where. And then we were sitting on like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, and then we're just joking around and talking and stuff. And he goes, "Yeah, I used to work at Pop and Cork," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I used to own it, so no, you didn't." He's like, "No, I worked there for one day." He goes, "I think you fired me." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was in there my first day, and someone told me it was okay to drink a beer in the back, and you like caught me and you fired me. And I was like, "That's where I know you from." So I just
Did you remember that?
when he brought it up, I was like, "Yep, that was you." Holy shit! So just weird, like. It's weird to fire people and tell people what to do.
Dude, it is. Like I was telling you before, like one of our mutual friends, Brandon Campbell, who works for my family-owned business, and it's like I played ball with him. I've known him way before he started working for us, and it was just one of those things where it was just like he wanted to he was doing carpentry on the side with his dad and stuff like that, and then he wanted a more steady paycheck. He wanted to work because working for yourself obviously is hard when you're doing that type of work.
Yeah.
And so he wanted a steadier paycheck. So he's like, "Dude, I'd love to come, learn the field with you guys because I know you guys personally. I know you're not gonna, be super tough or whatever or assholes. He knows we're not assholes." So, but it was just weird because he's a buddy, and it's like I till this day I still don't feel comfortable like telling him to do something. Like I feel
That's weird, right?
Yeah, it is. Like, and it's almost like you want to hire people that you like and people and like and people you get along with. But it's almost like if you get along with them too much, and then it's like, oh shit, now we're friends, and it's not. So it's just like. But the nice thing is we're a small company, so it's not much of an issue. But with like bigger companies, you can see why they're like, don't everybody's just a number, because how can you be that cutthroat and make those business decisions if you liked everybody personally?
Yeah.
It seems like you almost have to be shameless to be successful.
Ask Brandon how many times I got screwed making the basketball team in high school.
Really?
I tried out 3 years in a row for basketball, and I was good, better than half the kids who made the team. And all 3 years I did not make the team. And every single year I didn't make the team, everybody that did, like Brandon, a couple other dudes I knew would always come up to me at school, like at lunchtime.
Dan played with you guys, Terzina?
Yeah, Dan was a little older, I think.
Oh, he
But
might
Brandon,
be,
like
right.
Brandon was in my, but Dan, we would still probably be on the same team.
And the Knoll brothers play with you guys?
Who?
The Knowles?
Yeah, they were playing. They were a little older. They were like the superstars.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
They were tall.
The 1,000-point scores too. Yeah.
But I remember like Brandon and whoever else would come to me and be like, "You made the team, right?" And I was like, "Nope." And everybody was like, "What?" It's just like, oh god, that used to piss me off in high school. And then finally, like junior and senior year, a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, you should try out again." And I'm like, "No, I'm done."
What
I was bitter.
Was it because who was playing that position? What position were you?
I wasn't until I'm 5'9", 5'10". I wasn't
Playing
trying to
two-guard?
play whatever.
Yeah,
just get
yeah.
on the team and I just
they
never
told me
like
that you
all
were
the
pretty
tall kids, the fat kids. But if they were tall, they'd make it,
Yeah.
and they were terrible.
Well, let's be honest, dude. We grew up in Ludlow. Like, if you're like soccer was like the sport that like all like the you figured like gets all the focus.
Oh yeah,
you know?
we are in Ludlow. Can I talk about how much I hate soccer too?
You can actually. You know what's funny? I was born in Portugal, and actually, dude, for the longest time I thought you were Portuguese because I used to think your last name was Martins with an S, and then Martin is actually is that from
French?
Is it French?
Yeah,
I thought it was Honduras or not Honduras. From Hungary.
no,
Really?
maybe some of them. I don't know. Not me.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
And my dad's side's French and my mom's side's Greek. So
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I know this guy who's from Hungary, and he was I think his last name was Martin, and then he's like a lot of people from Hungary. That's a very popular name. I'm like, oh, that makes sense because I always thought Martin. Every time I heard Martin, I always thought it was Martins, and nobody was saying that, and they were skipping the S because everybody I grew up with was like a Martins, So I'm like, oh, he's Portuguese, and I'm like, but wait, I'm like, is he? And I'm like. And then I remember seeing your name written down once, picked up on the fact that it wasn't like there's no S. I'm like,
yeah, a lot of people thought I was Portuguese just because I lived here, which.
Yeah,
that's how I actually met my girlfriend one night. We were just joking. She was working at a bar, and I was like, I just came in and ordered the drink, and I don't know how the conversation started, but she was like, "Oh, you from Ludlow?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said she was from Ludlow, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, me too." She's like, "You Portuguese?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "No, me neither." She's like, "Do you like soccer?" I'm like, "Nope." She's like, "I hate soccer," and that was our initial bond was being from Ludlow and hating soccer, and oh my God, I used to take a lot of crap about that.
It was funny. I hated soccer growing up because everybody else loved soccer, and then
that was my thing. I couldn't stand it. And I remember Brandon being such a good basketball player, and that's why I wanted you to ask him about because he'll probably remember me never making the team.
I know.
It just still drives me nuts to this day.
Yeah, I told you I ran into I was with your buddy Mike Bertrand today, and he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm like, yo, did Mike, because I was asking him, I'm like, yo, does Mike Martin, I'm like, he played ball with you guys back in the day? Because I'm like, I feel like I remember seeing him once in a while. He's like, yeah, he used to ball with us. He's like, he was pretty good too. And I'm like, and so it's funny that
I would never make the team.
And that's how it's funny because you're saying you never made the team. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I just heard that you're pretty good.
Dude, my friend Scott, Scott Manchester?
He
was the singer in my band Flatline.
Okay,
He's from
Ludlow. Bigger guy. Yeah,
but he was like the captain of the basket. Like my senior year,
he was the
captain.
Big dude, right?
Yeah, he's 6 feet, but he was a good basketball player.
Maybe I was short at the time.
And he was the one towards the end of high school that was like, dude, try out again. He's like, you'll be fine, you'll make it. I'm like, I was fine 3 years in a row, like way better than a lot of the people, and I still was. It's like people who just had connections, and oh god,
dude, that happens a lot.
Still bitter.
Yeah,
I played baseball for 10 years, no problem, because nobody was like baseball wasn't popular. And there wasn't like hordes of people trying out for it. So you could make the baseball team just by showing up because there wasn't an overload of people. But baseball was always my favorite sport.
Did basketball have a lot of people trying out?
Basketball, there was like, you could only have so many, you get 12 people on the team or something.
Yeah.
Baseball, you can get away with having like 20 people on the team, and it's not as popular.
But at that time, the Ludlow basketball team wasn't even that bad, right? They were pretty good.
Yeah.
Never really that good. I know, dude. It's funny.
Nuts.
In soccer, I think we're the basketball soccer hall of fame for like some team that we had in the 80s. Or something
at the time when I was in high school, soccer was like.
Oh, it still is. Like it's huge.
Those dudes were like rock stars in high school, which also pissed me off.
Yeah,
so I was like, the sport sucks. I cannot stand it, and all the girls like the soccer players. This is driving me nuts. So I still think soccer sucks. And if anybody from Ludlow hears this, soccer sucks. I don't care what you think.
It's funny.
And we're on the mills are right there, and
we're in little
right
Portugal,
by Festa World and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. I used to love going to the Festa, but man, so I used to get in fights about soccer.
Dude, it's funny. Like I grew up hating it because I think it was one of those things where I wanted to rebel, and it was like my parents only understood soccer. They didn't understand if I want to throw a football around or if I want to shoot, go shoot around, play basketball. My dad wanted nothing to do with it. But if I wanted to kick a ball around, he'd be outside in 2 seconds, and I'm just like, fuck,
sucks.
man. And then after I end up, it kind of did because it pushed me away from soccer, and then I'm like, fuck this, I don't want to play anymore. So then I got into playing music, and I got into skateboarding at that time. That was really cool. You listen to metal and hardcore and punk, and you skateboard and BMX. So I got into that, and I'm like, fuck organized sports, and then eventually as I got older, I got more into it afterwards. I'm not playing so much, but I got into watching it because it was more of a bonding thing with my father. We could have a couple drinks, sit around and watch a game and stuff like that. But it was one of those things where when you grow up in a town where it's that popular, the first thing you want to do is rebel against it. Dude, no, it's not that good. Go fuck yourself. It sucks,
If I had a kid and he wanted to play soccer, I would say no, play a real sport. I'd be like, no, go play football.
Tell me something that's less disappointing, like you're gay.
Yeah. That's like the equivalent to me. But, actually, no, it's because the gay thing is whatever. I want people to admit that. I want people to be comfortable. that stuff is fine. Come out of the closet, go do your thing. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not uncomfortable around gay people at all. But I am guilty of being like, oh, soccer's gay.
Yeah.
But
but it's like, it's
just people. That's just like a term people use.
Yeah.
But I still hate soccer.
Dude, I think just having comedians on this show. That's one thing you've learned is that like it's nice being a comedian because you can say fuck off like to the politically correct people and be like, I'm a comedian. Don't take me fucking seriously.
Yeah, I have a great friend like Steve Vecchiarelli.
That name sounds familiar too.
He's from he's like a Chicopee kid, but he does stand up.
Really?
Yeah, he's good too. He's funny.
Does he did a funny bone or
he does whatever he can get his hand on as far as like open mics and stuff. And
probably the Funny Bone of Manchester.
I know Cabot Street's trying to do Cabot Street in Chicopee did one a couple weeks ago that we went to. I think they're doing one tomorrow night too. But it's just like kind of have random people come up and do 5 or 10 minutes. I talk about having respect for something like that's how people can go up and just talk and be funny and entertain a room is.
Dude, that shit is
absolutely terrifying.
It's so intriguing to me because like having comedians on and talking to them about the experience of, like you have to write jokes and like that aren't just funny to you, but like you travel all over the U.S., all different towns with different cultures, and it still has to be funny to them, And it's like nobody has the same fucking sense of humor. We could name a bunch of movies right now, and you could say, "Oh, that movie fucking blows." What are you talking about, Ricky? And I'd be like, "What are you?" I'm like, "That's awesome," So it's like
that happened 2 weeks ago. This dude went up and did at Cabot Street, went up and did like 10 minutes, and I guess he was on like America's Got Talent or something, and like did really well because he's so awkward. But he went up and did his like awkward routine, and it bombed so hard.
Really?
People were just like, "What?" So, like you said, different rooms.
Yeah,
you don't know what you're gonna get,
dude. And it's scary, man. When you start bombing and you lose a room, like and then hecklers. You ever see the documentary Hecklers? It's fucking hilarious.
I'm not. I want to.
There's one with it's on Netflix. It's Jamie Kennedy. Just like he's like kind of the focus on the film, and he just gets it over. And then he takes fans that like heckled him backstage, and they'll be like, "Why do you hate me so much?" And he's like, "Because you suck. I'm sorry. You just are awful, and your comedy makes me want to die." And he's just looking at him like he's like, "What about He's like he can't understand why people hate him. But that's like we were talking about before how. That fan and that I saw that video, you guys selling out, like that's one. And even doing this podcast, I remember when me and my brother used to do music and we played. And I remember once we played it, our last show we played at like Club Meadows, and
I've been there.
Yeah,
see Aquan out there.
Yeah, did you? Yeah, they're badass. And we play there, and everybody seemed like they liked the show. Somebody actually wrote me like a 4-page email telling me about how bad our band sucked, every reason they thought our band sucked, and I'm just like, I couldn't stop smiling because I'm like, holy fuck, this motherfucker actually took this much time to write about us. I'm like, but it's like one of those things when you're in the public eye, you have to be ready for cunty people. Like you can't avoid them; they're everywhere. That's
what I joke with Phil about. I'm like, so you pissed off the whole internet again today? And he goes, "Yep, we got a record coming out. They keep falling for it." He's like, just press. It's like. It's hilarious.
Well, that probably, that's a good point. I mean, just, if people are bashing your band, the fact that they're just making the name of your band relevant and bringing it up all the time.
All the time. They were doing podcasts on his remarks.
Really?
In like LA and shit. Just like
the topic is.
Oh, yeah. On our next show, we're going to be discussing Phil Labonte's remarks. And it was like, we win.
Yeah.
Is that like it might have pissed you off, but now they're doing a show on it.
Is that something you guys are ever like cautious about, or you're just like fuck it, like this is who I am, and hopefully you guys like it. If not, too bad.
I retired from the internet 3 years ago because I was a dick.
Really?
And anybody from Ludlow probably remembers me when I had my Facebook page. I was an asshole, and I still am, but I just don't put it on the internet anymore. And
I think you're just probably like, from my experience from being around you, it just seems like you're honest, and I think
I am very honest. Yeah, and people don't like that a lot, and I'm not like I don't feel like I'm being mean ever, and I'm not trying. I don't go out of my way to make. I think
intentions.
Feel bad.
Yeah, your intentions are to.
But if someone's doing something, I'm just be like, oh, you're doing that. That's fucking dumb. They just can't handle it. But
Facebook, maybe it's the East Coast, like the East Coast in you.
Yeah, and traveling all over the world has made me learn that too. Like. If I talk to somebody in Tennessee, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been to Massachusetts once. People are really mean there," and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "People are really nice here. You can tell everybody's way nicer in a lot of the spots in the country. You get to New York and Jersey and Mass, it's ugh.
Oh,
People
yeah.
are assholes.
Dude, I heard a story. I remember Conan O'Brien once. They were talking about, oh, when you go back to Boston, like, oh, everybody must be super excited to see you. Nah. He's like, this is what I love about Boston. He's like, I get to Boston. He told a story about he got off a bus and he's like, he had all his luggage and he was just saying hi to somebody in line or something like that. And everybody in line's like, hey, Conan, I know you're famous. You got to get to back. And he's like, I'm not cutting. He's like, sure you are. Get back to you're just like everybody else here. And he's like, he said, I think he enjoyed the fact that it's like, oh shit, I'm just one of the like a regular.
He probably did.
Yeah. Is that an issue when you come back home? Do you like? Because I actually saw you at Joy's not that long ago at breakfast, and over there next to the
I
pike.
go there a lot.
Yeah,
I
I live there. I go there all.
They moved.
They moved recently. Yeah,
That's depressing to me.
but they're over the bridge now.
in Indian Orchard, in the plaza, and I haven't gone yet.
Yeah, me either.
And me and my girlfriend were just talking about that last night, actually.
Yeah, I
I
saw.
was like, oh man, I'm gonna miss the old Joys. I used to go there by myself all the time.
Well, that's a cool
Just
thing.
at the bar.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about places that have bars is that you can feel comfortable going there and just like hanging out and
I
watching.
know all the girls that work there. They're always super nice. I love that
Yeah, and
place.
Gino, the owner. Dude, I love little mom and pop places, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
I say this on the show all the time. Like, dude, if you can avoid going to like big corporate companies, I might do it because they don't give a fuck about the product. They don't give a fuck about, customer service. They just care about like ones and zeros. And like you go to a mom and pop place, you're going to pay most of the time the same amount or less.
Probably less.
Yeah. And you're going to get like the owners are actually there. So they care about like that company surviving and that restaurant putting out a good product because they're not just in the community, they're a part of the community. They live here. They want people to like the place and stuff like that. So I think that's huge, man.
What do you say is what a problem you were asking about?
Oh, when you come back, like being recognized and stuff like that.
Oh no. People aren't as invested in like music like they used to be. Back in the day when you get a CD, like you look at the inside and you like remember and everybody's favorite band members.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that guy's my favorite, and people were psyched to read the lyrics and just like really just invested in a band. And people just it's not like that anymore. Spotify, you have. People listen to like one or two songs by like 500 bands now instead of listening to like, no one knows what song is on what album anymore. And so as far as like, people sometimes say, oh, hey, I like your band, which is awesome. That's cool. But it doesn't happen like I can go anywhere. I always make jokes about that too. Like if I've gone from the stage, I'm on tour in a city and you get off the stage and you go to the bar at that club. Everybody wants to buy you drinks. All the girls want to talk to you. It's like a big deal. And I always got the biggest kick out of that because it's an extreme confidence booster when like that many girls want to talk to you if you go to the bar after and like, oh, can I get a picture? Or they're hitting on you or whatever. And which is something I wanted a long time ago when I started bands. I was like, yeah, I want to get girls from this. Yeah. And, then you go home to a bar in Springfield. And everyone's just too cool. It's just you're in their way. Not one girl will even look in your direction. It's just hilarious to me. So I've always had a pretty cool balance of like both. I've always gotten a kick out of both because it's like you get off a stage and I'm in Denver and there's girls hanging on me and there's guys asking for pictures and there's guys offering their girlfriends to me going, oh, here, go ahead, man. I don't care. She's a big fan. Go ahead. Just literally telling me it's okay to hit on their girlfriend. And I just go to Plan B or Sam's in Springfield or any kind of bar downtown and nothing. Well, everyone thinks they're in the Jersey Shore. Everyone thinks they're more important for whatever reason. All the girls are just stuck up bitches. Yeah, well, they're all, even the girls that are like fives think they're the hottest thing on the planet. And it's always been fun to me to come home to reality.
Yeah, well, I guess perception's reality. I think here, I mean, it's probably like you said, it's nice to have a little bit of both, and maybe
I've always liked the balance. It's been cool.
Do you think it would go to your head a little bit if you were like everywhere you went was always like that? You think that?
I think I'm pretty good at like keeping myself in check. I mean, if it was all the time, maybe I just get brainwashed. I don't know, but girls I've talked to in the area, if I've ever hit on a girl around here. And they don't know anything about me, maybe I'll be lucky enough to get a phone number or something. But if I tell them, if it somehow comes up in a conversation about what band I'm in, and they all of a sudden know that I've been on the radio, the whole tone changes. Everything changes. I don't have to text them first anymore. They're going to text me first now. Their mentality is like, oh, wow, I have something I can tell my friends about because you're important.
Yeah.
It's completely different mentality. And I've hit on like, a girl before. She was like a waitress and, oh, yeah, she gives me her number. And it was cool. And then, oh, yeah, what do you do for work? Oh, no, I play in a band. No, but like, what do you do really for work? Like, no, my band is my full-time job. Oh, cool. What band? It's like, holy shit, my friends listen to that band. Yeah, that's so fucking cool. And then just text message out, and then it's like, 5 minutes ago, you didn't give a shit.
Yeah, isn't
and
it?
It changes. It definitely changes no matter how many girls will tell you, I don't care about that. That does not matter to me. But, when I met my girlfriend, she was like, I listen to you guys at the gym. And she's not the type of girl that's I just want to date him because I can tell my friends about it.
Yeah.
She's not that person at all, but I'm sure it was just a little bit of like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's got to be a little bit in there. It helps. It's not, I'm not like.
Do you think she probably likes the fact that she doesn't let you know maybe it's cool? Like, well, I'm not going to let him know that I think it's cool because then he'll have the upper hand. So this way, it's like, I'll let him think that it doesn't mean shit. So that way he never feels like,
Yeah, and it's not, I don't think it's like a mind game thing.
Yeah.
Really. It's just, because she's genuinely like just a good person and really not like, oh,
keep her.
cool.
There's not
he
many of
probably
them.
makes money.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all. Thank God. But with a lot of girls in the past and stuff, and even guys you meet who kind of just talk down to you.
Really?
I've done it at music stores and going to. I remember I used to always joke about Music Men, the old Music Men on Boston Road there.
That's where
and you would go in and like the dudes that work there were dicks. And if you asked a question about equipment or anything, they're just very condescending, like you're talking to a mechanic, because mechanics talk to you like you don't know about a car, so you're an idiot.
Are you talking about? Remember Joel with the long hair?
Joel was one of them.
Yeah. Well, Joel knew everything about everything, but because nobody else knew anything, like he'd be like, obviously this is because of that. I'm like, dude, you're blowing my mind that you know this much shit, but you're also kind of making me feel like I'm an idiot, And it was like,
he would come across as a dick. I remember him because he would come across as a dick, and oh yeah, you're in that band? Oh yeah, what are you doing this year? Like, well, we're going on Ozfest. Oh yeah, I'm going to leave for the summer. We're going on Ozfest. And it would kind of be like, oh shit. It's like.
But isn't he like the typical, like the musician that never made it? So like he was like talented, but yet he didn't, because he was in a bunch of bands. But
and I remember he would play guitar in the store, and I was like, this guy's great.
Yeah.
You could tell he was good. But it was just like, it's weird how people completely will change the way they talk to you. And it happened to me doing an acoustic gig. A buddy of mine plays acoustic gigs around here all the time. And for a little while, I was just bored, and I would just go and sit and play acoustic covers with him on the weekends just because it would be fun, something different. And we played McLadden's in Northampton. We got in there, and the manager's like, yeah, just set your stuff up over there and fucking shut up and play.
Really?
No, he doesn't say that. But like
that's
the tone is very just like, I'm paying you. Just go do your job and shut your mouth. And we're hooking our stuff up, and I told the band thing came up, and why do I know that name? I'm like, we got the #1 song in the country right now.
Was that 2 weeks at the time?
No, it was Stand Up off our last record.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was our first #1 song. It was, oh wow, holy shit! And like you could see it just completely. The light went on completely for the rest of the night. He's coming over asking if we need anything. The bartenders are waving at us going, you guys need anything? Like trying to send drinks over. It got completely treated differently. Like,
is that something you ever worry about? Like the fact that people know you play in this band that, toured all over the world. You're obviously very successful. And do you think like, holy shit, like, am I ever going to meet somebody and know that they like me because of me and not because of my status?
Yeah, that's been weird, and it's just I don't really worry about it. It just makes you realize how shitty people are. I'm still recording.
Yeah, it's funny. I never check it, but now since you made me paranoid.
Yeah,
but
you just realize how crappy people are.
Yeah,
and that's why can't you just be nice to everybody?
Yeah, no, I definitely
I'm
agree,
nice
man.
to
Dude, I've had
anybody I meet. It's not.
Well, look how. I think just you coming on the shows. Obviously, after you got here and we talked, like we had a lot of mutual friends. But really, it was via email. You didn't know shit about who I was, and you were cool enough to come over and then do a podcast and shit like that. So I'm like, no, I'm like that. Obviously, he's a cool dude, and you're all.
I still feel like a dick for taking so long.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, believe me, I've had people that I'm like, Jim Florentine's one that we've been going back and forth trying to schedule. I mean, sometimes people are just busy, especially this time of year. Like working construction, like my schedule slows down now, and everybody else's schedule is like crazy because of the holidays and stuff like that. So I'm like, when I'm trying to book the most shows because I have more time for it, it seems like everybody else is super busy.
Yeah,
so I'm,
of course.
Yeah. So I'm just, but I'm. It's fun to talk to people, because the thing is, you're from Ludlow, and then Mike. I mean, there's a bunch of Mikes that play in popular. Mike Mushak, obviously from Stain.
Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff with those guys.
Yeah,
those guys are all nice,
dude. They're super nice,
super. Aaron's nice. We've eaten with him, we've done shows together and sat in catering and eaten with them and stuff, and they're just awesome. They're nice guys.
My co-host, Dave, who does shows with me, he graduated with Mike, and they went to school together and graduated together, and he said the same thing. He's like, Mike's such a nice guy, and he's
all
like,
great.
yeah, and I remember I met them way back in the day when I forgot how I got the first CD, the Tormented CD, and then this is when they first started getting popular, and I went to go see them at Fall Cities, and I had this CD, and they're like, yeah, I remember you kids, and and like they were super friendly with us, and I've had, but that's another thing that's kind of funny, because Mike Mushak, when I used to work at the cinemas, it was like my first like real job. I was like 16 working at the Eastville Mall cinemas, and Mike Mushak came in and he bought tickets, and I'm telling everybody like, yo, that's the fucking guitarist for Stain, and they're like no. And I'm like, yeah, no, seriously. So like everybody's like going online checking it. They're like, holy fuck, it is. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, this guy, and at this time, these guys are enormous. They're like, I think Been a While came out.
That was the
big hit.
Yeah. Big as it got.
Yeah. And they were like everywhere. And I'm like, this guy is going to a movie in his home area, like in his area code 413, and nobody recognizes him.
Well, people think like once you're in a band, like you live in like space and you don't exist in real life anymore, or something.
Yeah,
it's like you kind of like get whisked away into this magical land. It doesn't happen. You got to go still.
But don't you think you got
to go to the grocery store?
Yeah, you still got to do. Yeah, like you don't have servants that are like, oh, go get me groceries. Make me a sandwich.
Perception is a funny thing.
But isn't it probably like do you rather have it this way where you can go out and have an everyday life and live a normal life to the point?
Yeah,
because don't you think
I like the money? I would like the money that these the pop stars are making.
Yeah.
But they can't do like Eminem can't do anything. He can't go anywhere.
Well, you look at it like, okay, if me and you went out tonight and we got annihilated and we end up getting pulled over, it wouldn't make front page news. Maybe it would. Maybe it would. But more
I got out a speeding ticket in Syracuse a month ago because fucking state trooper guy was like, I'm a huge fan. It's like, you guys are good.
Yeah, that's badass.
That was kind of funny, but
it's like the thing is that like a guy like Bieber or something like that, or like you said, like Lady Gaga or Eminem, like wherever they go, whatever they do, everything's going to be blown up. And it's like, it has to do something to your psyche where it's just like you live in a fake perception of reality because your reality is completely different than everybody else's.
Yeah. If me and you went out, like no one would talk to us all night. If we went to a bar, no one's going to say nothing.
Yeah. No, you'd be like,
unless I bumped into someone from high school,
yeah,
which is fine. But I was listening to Bon Jovi do an interview one time, and he's just saying it's weird. It's a weird existence when you're on the road and you go play for 50,000 people, and then you just get thrown into a van and right to a hotel room, and you're in a hotel by yourself, all by yourself.
That
and
is
some
weird.
Games on that you want to celebrate about, but you got nobody to call, nobody to celebrate with. You're just in a room and all you can hear is your ears ringing, and you're by yourself, and you just played to a stadium full of people. And he said stuff like that, really fuck with your head.
Well, it does, because it's kind of like you're going from like you're on stage, you have all these people that are acting like they love you and they're huge fans and they love you and this, and then all of a sudden you go from like feeling loved and having all these people's energy focus on you to like being alone, and like you said, and there is something about, I think, the idea of like sharing life experiences with somebody, obviously if a team, if you're watching the Sox game or the Patriots game and something big happens and you're by yourself, it doesn't seem quite as fun.
Yeah, it's not as cool.
Yeah. If
it's weird. The same thing happens for us on a smaller scale. We're not playing stadiums for 50,000 people, but you go play a room for 1,000 or 2,000 people and everyone's screaming and everyone's kicking the crap out of each other in the pit, and you're just getting like all this like
energy.
Yeah, it's just coming at you. It's loud and chaotic. And then an hour later, you're just, after you eat something and you're in your bunk on the bus, this little coffin that you sleep in the bus, and you just got your DVD player open and watching The Big Bang Theory. And it's just it's weird.
I heard that about you. You and your...
I love The Big Bang Theory.
It's so bad.
I
It's
love-
so bad.
That's my favorite show ever.
Really, dude.
Yeah, we don't agree, huh?
No, they
You either that's another thing you love or hate.
Yeah.
Because I know the people that don't like it, like they fucking hate it.
because it's so cheesy. It's so
Yeah,
like
I love it.
Is that what you like about it? Like, am I like expecting for it not to be cheesy and then disappointed on how cheesy it is?
I just love Sheldon because he's such a dick. I just think his OCD is like very like, his character is very nuts, which it reminds me of some people I know that are just nuts and OCD like that, and I just am so entertained by what a socially awkward asshole he is.
There's a video online of I believe it's a Big Bang Theory with none of the audience like sound of like clapping or laughing, or I think it's the laughing. It's
that's got to be weird.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I think somebody did it because they wanted to show you how you couldn't even pick out the funny parts if you had nobody laughing. And it was like, so you watch it and it's almost disturbing. You're like, holy fuck, this isn't funny at all.
Yeah, it's those fake studio audiences.
Yeah.
That's like, you're kind of brainwashing people.
You are, yeah. It's maybe it's like that. But that's back to that thing we talked about before, like the tribal thing. Like you want to fit into a group. So it's like, oh, everybody else is laughing, so I should laugh. Like,
oh yeah,
it's. I mean,
I saw Horrible Bosses 2 last night.
How was that?
It was good.
Really?
Yeah, it was really funny.
Well, the cast is good.
I'm pretty sure I would have laughed by myself on that one. It was so funny.
The cast is good. I love that guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
He's the best part of the movie.
Dude, he is fucking hilarious. His
good.
character, like, he just plays that role so well. And he's kind of like the guy. There's certain guys, like, you couldn't have somebody else do those roles. Like, obviously, like, Elf, you couldn't have anybody else do Elf. You couldn't have, like, it's a kid's movie, but it's so fucking hilarious because he fits that role so well. And it's just like, holy shit, I am fooled into believing he is an oversized elf. I'm like, because he fits that role so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, it's a fucking talent to do that. It's just, even though like acting, it's weird, man, because you're kind of, it's one of those things where it seems like a lot of actors, like they try to, like Madonna, for example, a lot of famous people, like they once you get really famous, like you have to like Madonna all of a sudden had English accent. Like, why does she have an English accent?
Oh God, I hate her.
Really?
My whole life I've just spent hating her. I hate Lady Gaga too, though. She's like the new Madonna to me. I just can't stand them. I understand they're talented and they're whatever. I can't stand them.
Well, because I think there's something fake about, like Lady Gaga wore that outfit that was like steaks or something like that. Like, it comes to a point where it's not artistic anymore. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to be shock rock. You're trying to get attention. Yeah, you're trying. Yeah, I mean, you're trying to get attention, and I think that like the big thing with like a lot of these artists, it's like, oh well, she's being artistic. No, I'm like, no, she's fucking a lunatic, and she's trying to be artsy by taking it like a little further, and now it's gotten to the point where it's just ridiculous, and it's not artsy anymore.
It's
now
just annoying to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just and like you said, like I think Lady Gaga, she was writing music before she got popular, and she was writing music for other people, so she obviously can write. And
I heard she was loaded before she ever even became a pop star. So
well, I think Kanye West was the same thing. Like, I think he was writing music for other people too, and I think both of them have like a similar story of like, well, they want to prove to people that, oh no, I can be the artist too. I can't, just from behind the scenes. You
get bored.
Yeah,
try something else.
Well, that goes back to your band. Some people say you guys sold out. I mean, how much of it is really just getting bored and trying to experiment with other shit?
Yeah, it's like this is a fun topic for me because it's just attention spans in general. You take whatever everyone's favorite album is, and most people have the same one because we have one album that everyone's. It's like that's like our masterpiece to people, and it was in 2006 with the Fall of Ideals album, and that's basically most of the bitching we hear on the internet is why can't you be like the Fall of Ideals again? And if you take all the things that you like about the Fall of Ideals and you listen to the full albums after that, there's all of the stuff is there still, but people just fixate on one thing. So I think I'm like allergic to your basement or something. My throat is like drying out down here so bad. I don't know why.
Maybe, yeah.
But I'm glad I brought water. But they fix it on like,
you want vodka or whiskey? Anything?
No. They fix it on the one thing. It's like, if there's a singing song, if there's a slow song, and that's it. That's the whole album to them. If there's 10 songs on it that are heavy and are just like the Fall of Ideals, those don't exist because there's one song that's slow and with all singing, and that's just the way it's been in every single album we've had. If there's been more melodic singing as the albums have gone. Obviously, you can't like deny it because it's absolutely happening. But it's because Phil's gotten better at singing, and we just like doing it. You know, it's not selling out if you're doing it because you like it. You know, so we have the same thing happen on every album. Everybody bitches about the same thing. And then if I could sit down with each and every one of those people, if I had the time to, I could say, well, okay, what do you like the most about this? And they can tell me everything about a song on the Fall of Ideals that they love, and I can show them 5 songs on every record. At least 5. That can go right onto the Fall of Ideals. But they don't focus on that because most people don't listen to the full records anymore because that's just the way it is because of Spotify and everything's free. And you can buy one song off of iTunes and blah, blah, blah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well,
how much time are you going to take to convince them? It's like what they're going to do on our new record is the same thing they're going to do on what they've done on every other record. The first song that's going to go to radio is going to be a softer song because that's what they can play on radio. We've already released a new song off of our new record.
Yeah, I think I just heard.
We leaked it.
Yeah,
but it's heavy.
It's on iTunes.
It's really heavy.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, and if you pre-order the album, you get it right away. It's very heavy. It's not on the radio. It's not going to be on the radio. It'll be on Sirius, like on a Liquid Metal or something. They play it on that, but they're not going to play it on daytime rock radio with Bush and Weezer and all those bands. So they're going to put the first single out. It's going to be all singing. People are going to get pissed
because they're going to be like, "Oh, this dictates."
Because people right now, because they've heard one song off the album that's all heavy, they think we're going to be heavy again. When it's just nothing's even really changed over time. There's just been more of a variety, and there's going to be a slow song and an all singing song, and those are the songs that are going to go on the radio, and everyone's going to pull the Fall of Ideals crap, and I can take our new album and show them 6 songs that can go on to the Fall of Ideals.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that, because I think what people, and that's the thing, like people assume that if there's a soft song, that song was purposely written just to, for radio and blah, blah, blah. But what you're saying is that we write songs, and then the songs that seem like they would fit better for domestic radio, those are the ones that get picked for domestic radio.
We write songs that we like.
Exactly.
We didn't write a slow song. I didn't come into practice and go, okay, we all want to buy houses now, right? Okay, here's your I'm going to buy a house song. And then we write it. That's not how it happens. We just write a bunch of stuff. This band has always done a ton of different styles. And, for every one kid on the internet that bitches that they hate the radio songs, there's 10,000 people that love the radio song. So, and the numbers don't lie. On every record we have, all of the downloads individually, all of the all singing songs have far more downloads than the screaming songs. So you're going to have your internet kids, no matter what, that are going to bitch. But there's not some big, deep meaning behind all of it. It's literally people just not paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I think that obviously Metallica is the real popular one that was accused for selling out. And
that was happening on the Black album when Enter Sandman came out. All the old school Metallica fans were like, "This is the worst shit I've ever heard."
It's like, oh, the songs aren't 9 minutes anymore, and they're
it's the biggest sound scanning album in the history of SoundScan.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's one of those things where I think there's something about too. I think when a band's small, you have like this personal relationship with them. Like you feel like this is my band because have I showed you guys All That Remains? Check these guys out. And then
people start liking it, you don't want to like it anymore. Yeah, it's like soccer.
Exactly like soccer. It always comes back to soccer. But
it's hilarious.
But you're right. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where because it's almost like, oh, they're not my band anymore. Now everybody's wearing All That Remains shirts, or everybody is knows about them. So it's almost like this I don't know, you're just jealous of other people like them, and that might cause some of it. And I think that too, you can't win, because if you did a heavy album where every single song was heavy, you'd be like, why don't you throw a little variety in it? Why don't you guys, every song sounds the same. It's like,
put the heavy song on the internet, and one of the comments was just like, this is a bunch of chugging bullshit. Go back to writing radio songs. At least it shows some talent. I was just like, okay. Well, whatever.
Dude, YouTubers, anytime you think there's the world is full of a lot of good people, read YouTube comments.
Dude, everyone's wishing death on us on there. I don't that's the part of the reason, I think we got sidetracked, but part of me giving up on the internet.
Is that what it started? This started as
we've been drifting a lot, anyways. I don't think our folk.
That's common for the show. If you
well,
listen,
yeah, it's a podcast. So you're just going to drift from one thing to the next and forget why you even got there. But which is fine. But the internet thing, it was just like after a while, I just couldn't. Like people always joke that I'm like the glass half empty guy, anyways. And like you said, I say it's honesty. People mistake it for negativity. But it's not my fault. There's a lot of negativity in the world, and I'm pointing it out. So people think I'm negative, even though I think it's most of the time just being honest. I'll be irrational sometimes, but that's just for fun.
But isn't that better than the alternative, which is I know people who honestly just not honestly,
but delusional.
Oh yeah, well, well that or the people who like disagree with everything you say all the time. You're like, this motherfucker, I have no idea who he is. He's like not stating any of his actual opinions. He's just agreeing with everything I'm saying. Like I have friends, and I don't want to say names, but I have at least one I could think of right off the top of my head that I've said this to other friends. I'm like, dude, I just like I almost don't know who he is because every time we say something, he like agrees with us, and then like somebody else will say and
there's always the group chameleon.
And so I'm like, there's something that's nice about an honest person because it's like, okay, at least I know who you are, like there's no, it's not a theater, you're not putting on an act, like this is who you are, and it's just like there's something that's nice about that.
Yeah, for as honest or negative as I can be, and I can be, like if I want to lay it on thick, I really can be, and I have fun doing it sometimes. As much negativity as whatever you want to call it that will come out of me, I cannot compete with the internet. Like that's too much for me. I can't handle it. And it's for some. I would have done the same thing when I was younger if I had all those platforms. I was like, okay, this band came out with something, and now I can go online and crap all over it. I probably would have done that when I was 18. I was an angry little kid. But when you spend all of your time and all of your life on something, and 20 seconds into whatever dickhead is hearing it, and they just go online and crap all over it in 20 seconds and don't pay attention, they just want to like wish death on you. It's infuriating, and there's only so much of it I can handle. So a lot of me going away from the internet was just like the amount of negativity, which a lot of people probably won't even think that I would admit it, but it was literally just too much. Like I can't constantly go online every day and read everybody shitting all over the band because I'm like, it's going to brainwash me into thinking that our career is over.
Yeah.
Because when I first started seeing that stuff, I thought our career was over. I was just like, oh, okay, well, people just hate us now, and it's over.
You're like, do we have any fans?
We go on tour and everything's great. So it's like, okay, well, it's just an overreaction. It's too much for me to handle.
Or you just realize that most of the people who are trying to interact with you are the shithead ones. The fans are just listening and enjoying.
Yeah. Thank God.
Because I'm like, yeah, you read all this negative and you're like, holy fuck, everybody hates us. And like, then you look at record sales, you're like, wait, who's buying our shit?
Yeah, I had to get off the internet because I had to stop reading. First of all, Facebook was first because I just couldn't handle. I didn't even have a lot of Facebook friends. It was mostly just like family and like Ludlow people, people you go to high school with. And, like I said, most people's versions of the American dream kind of make me want to barf. And like seeing it all on Facebook was just, I was getting.
Was that the picket fence and the
and then just like people's food pictures, and then you got the overdramatic ones that were just like, oh my God, my life is shit, and it was just like,
which is really saying, somebody look at me, give me attention.
Or some girl wishes me happy birthday, and the girl I'm dating at the time gets pissed because she did it first, and I was just like, okay, delete.
Yeah.
So Facebook was first, then Twitter was just like, I've gotten in trouble a few times for all the crap I would say on Twitter, just because I would really just like let it fly. And then I realized that like there was too many people paying attention and I would get in trouble a lot. So I just stopped doing that too.
Did your manager or anybody ever be like, yo, Mike, you're tone this down?
Yeah, I had to write an apology to Live Nation once.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I just bitched about a show in San Francisco one time, and I was really mean about it. And apparently some higher up guy caught wind of it somehow. I don't know how, but I really had to apologize. I felt bad after I was drunk. But
yeah, well, see, I think that's the thing. Like, we live in a time where you could just think of something, type it out in 2 seconds on your phone, and then the world knows it. And it's like, holy fuck! Like, I have no time to like rethink what I just said or what else.
And Phil does that, and he thrives on it. That's fine. He's always said, he's like, I love being the bad guy. I'm fine with it. He's like, nobody's dangerous anymore. Everyone's afraid of what they're going to say on the internet. Fuck that. I'll be the bad guy. No problem. He likes it. It's entertaining to him.
And does the manager ever get on him, or are they just
no? Because
it?
Phil's always been the band leader that like people are afraid of, and he never understands why, because he's a little, very not intimidating guy. But his personality does intimidate a lot of people who are very, just weak. But he just the management has always kind of just everyone else will get bitched at, but not Phil. So,
really?
Phil really gets away because Phil. Well, if you start bitching at him, he's gonna be like, I already put it on the internet for 30,000 people. You think I'm gonna let you tell me what to do?
Yeah.
He's like, they know it's not even worth the time, so he doesn't get yelled at, and it's just funny. He loves it. I had to like stop. It was just too much bad stuff.
Well, you still have a Twitter account, but you don't use it, right?
I have it. Yeah, I just erased everything on it.
Yeah.
Like I follow like sports feeds and porn.
Yeah. You want to share your dick pics? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just want to see like if there's so many pictures of naked girls on the internet, it's a shame to not look at them. So.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So you might as well just keep looking at them. So I just follow like wrestlers, athletes, all kinds of sports feeds, and then whatever like naked girl sites.
You probably have one of the most positive Twitter feeds I've ever heard.
It's a great Twitter feed.
Yeah,
I love looking at it still. I don't post anymore because I'm not going to say anything that's going to make anyone feel good anyways. So.
Well, that's what I like about Twitter was the fact that you can kind of create your own feed because you don't have to, with Facebook, you have to share each other's stuff where, and people are like, oh, well, you can adjust it now where you don't have to see this person's updates. I'm like, but that's a lot of fucking work to go through. I'm like, the nice thing about Twitter, I follow the people I actually care what their opinions are.
Facebook sucks. And
yeah.
If you're dating somebody too, and why is this guy commenting on your thing? And I don't want to be the jealous guy. Because if I see guys all over the place commenting all over my girlfriend's stuff, I don't want to see that. And then, why is this girl liking your picture? Oh, how come she doesn't like the pictures with me and you in it? And it's like, it's just...
Dude, oh yeah. And it's endless. I mean, it starts with that, and next thing you know, you get in a huge fight, and you're like, holy fuck, this all started because somebody liked my picture.
Yeah, I don't have any of that in my relationship now, which is great. Because we're both two very reasonable people. But in the past... not good.
Yeah, there's shirts that like I'd see people wear them. Facebook ruined my relationship or ended my relationship and stuff like that. I'm like, and that was I think people have calmed down a little bit, but like, well, maybe because most people I'm friends with are older now. I remember when it first like got really popular, like holy shit, like constantly you had friends fighting over what happened on Facebook.
Big deal.
Yeah,
big problems.
And it's just and I don't know, man. I mean, it's like one of those things where a lot of fights you end up realizing like, holy shit, what sparked it? Like it was that, and it blows up to something, and you realize like you have to pick and choose your fights. You have to be like, okay, I can get mad over this, and then this can turn into a huge thing. Next thing you know, I'm packing my shit and leaving, or I can just ignore it and be like, you know what? It's probably because the thing is that, we always assume the worst a lot of times, and it's like, so something happens, it's like, oh, she didn't text message me back yet, like what the fuck, what is she doing? Is she
I'm bad at that.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty bad with that stuff. I always think something's wrong. Just
dude, you can drive yourself crazy doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you? I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
I think it's hard. Like I was a little bit like that at one time because my mother always been one of those people that like she hears an ambulance and she'll call me and be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What the
my
fuck?"
mom's like that too.
Really? Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's probably where we get it from.
Yeah, and I fly all over the country, and my mom is like just a nervous wreck every time I fly. I'm like you need to get used to this. I fly every like week,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I think I get it from my mother too, but I've kind of got a hold of it where I'm just like, you know what, like what am I doing? Like I assume the best. If the worst happens, then I'm ready for it. But it's like even with like relationships, I remember past relationships, I was always like, especially early, like when I was in high school, I was like always super jealous because I was like insecure and I didn't. I'm like, why is she dating me? She's gonna leave me for that dude because he's a soccer player, and
fucking soccer players,
and we're gonna get a lot of soccer player hate mail, but and I'd be like, she's gonna leave me, and then after a while, I'm just like, dude, like I can't affect the outcome. Like if she ends up leaving me because she doesn't like me or whatever, I'm not gonna affect that. But me fighting her because of this or hallucinating is only gonna get that outcome I'm trying to avoid in the first place. So I'm like, holy shit, instead of like me stressing out about these things, instead of in any way resolving something. I'm actually adding to the conclusion I'm avoiding, you know? So it's like, holy fuck, I'm my own worst enemy. I'm like, I don't want her to leave me, but yet I'm fighting with her, which is going to make her leave me, you know?
You sound like what's inside my head. Yeah. We're like, it's got the same exact thing happening.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but I think it's hard, man, because people aren't faithful anymore. People aren't, you know, we talked about, I don't remember if this was before or after we started recording, but like, you know, online dating and stuff like that, you know, it's so easy to meet people. And I think the good thing and bad thing about divorce being socially acceptable, because obviously at one time it was like, what's wrong with your family? You got divorced. I think the good thing is that people won't stick in a shitty relationship because now they can meet somebody else who's been divorced, because like everybody's divorced. So
yeah.
But the bad thing is that also you don't stick through something that could possibly be worked out either, because of the fact that it's like, oh shit, everybody's divorced, so we're fighting, fuck you, I'll move on and I'll find somebody.
I figure there'll be more happy people if they can get out of crappy situations.
Yeah. I mean, you hope so. I think they said the marriage rate, or it's going up a little bit, like, or more people are getting married now, like it's slowly happening more. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact people are waiting later to get married. I think
you got to figure people are going to figure it out at some point. I mean, God, it's common.
I think getting married,
I think a lot of it's common sense, which is lacking. In general, I get that, but
I think it's one of those things where I think you barely know, like you're saying how like you're angry, you know, 18 or 17-year-old or whatever. Like, I mean, even though I don't feel like I was a complete idiot in my early 20s, I definitely look back and I'm like, holy fuck, like I thought I had shit figured out and I don't. And like every year it goes by, I'm like, holy shit, I thought I had shit figured out and I didn't.
Oh yeah, I know I was a complete idiot. I'm just like, I look back and I'm like, what an idiot. I just think about the stuff I've done. I'm just like, you're so stupid. I'm learning. That's what everything is, just learn as you go.
And is that something that obviously, you know, that's something that helps when you're in a band, like getting along with people and shit like that? Is that, you think you guys have all perfected the skill of maybe, you know?
Yeah, you really learn like what to do, like, you know, and if you're in a bad mood, just go away. You know, go hide in your bunk.
Sometimes it really is that simple. Yeah,
it really is. It's like sometimes you think about all the fights people get in, just like literally just because they're hungry.
Yeah, no, that's
think of how many girls break up with their boyfriends because they haven't had anything to eat that day,
dude.
Because your chemicals are all jacked up from not eating, and you're pissed off and you're freaking out on your boyfriend. You guys break up, then you go have dinner, and you have a full stomach and you start to think clearly again, and you're calling that person back up. And I don't want to fight. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. Of course you didn't, because it's like you got to figure out like why you're being nuts. If you can be nuts, but if you can figure out how to control it, you'll be fine. And with like people in a band and stuff, the fights that used to happen before, literally to the point of like almost like being physical. You know, it's just like you realize when you're older how easily avoidable everything is. So. You know, if people know now, if like oh, so and so's in a bad mood today, I'm staying. Like the other person will stay away too. It's easy.
Yeah.
But at first, it didn't seem that way. It's like, well, okay, well, I'm trapped.
Well, because no matter how much you like somebody, if you're stuck together for that long, that often, eventually they're gonna get fucking annoying.
Everything they do is gonna drive you nuts.
Yeah, and that you see that in relationships and bands, and I think that's why it's so hard to see bands, or it's so uncommon to see bands together for a long period of time without members coming in and out.
My new theory is that like 80% of the bad stuff that happens in any kind of relationship, whether it's a group thing or like a one-on-one like romantic relationship, I seriously based on how much food the person's had.
You know what?
Think of how pissed people get when they're hungry,
dude.
And I am like, I go to the gym all the time. If I'm hungry, I am a asshole. So it's like I know when to be like, listen, I am starving right now, and you're pissing me off. So we'll talk after I eat.
But isn't that a perfect example of how, you know, perception's reality? How like you can be in the exact same situation but hungry, and it'll piss you off 100 times more than if you're the same situation.
Just eat.
Yeah.
Anytime you and your girlfriend are about to get into a fight,
eat something,
then talk.
No, well, I'll tell you, even if
give the girl some chocolate.
Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. And if it isn't the food, then I think the time to calm down will. I mean, a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm really mad right now, but let me wait like 15 minutes. And if I'm still angry, then it's worth talking about. If I'm not angry after, then obviously I was just upset, you know, in that moment. And
that's hilarious. There's like a lot of truth to it. Like, I'm not joking. People are just hungry. It's insane.
And I think girls obviously get like a little moody when they're hungry, but nowhere near men. Like guys get like, we're back to cavemen. Like if you don't believe in evolution, hang out with the hungry dudes. Like there's monkeys again.
I'm the worst human being alive. when I want food. And I can't get it.
You actually worked out on like while you're on tour and stuff like that. You still find a way to hit up gyms and stuff like that.
Time.
That's important, no? Because you're stuck on a fucking bus, like just eating crappy food.
I don't know. Everyone's got the routine on how to get them through the day, and I don't know how my band does it because, like I said, we don't have anything in common. So everyone's doing something completely
so weird.
different.
Every time you say that, I'm like, wait. You guys been together for how long? You've been touring. You guys have nothing in common.
It's crazy because like Phil gets through the day by he just drinks himself to sleep every day, like 3 times a day.
That's how
just gets drunk and takes a nap, wakes up, drinks until he can take another nap, wakes up, does the show, drinks until he can fall asleep after the show.
Well, you guys toured with Hell Yeah for a while. I know they partied quite a bit.
Yeah, they can still drink. Vinny still can drink like he's in Pantera still.
That's fucking
He's
wild.
a great guy too.
Dude, I
what
bet.
A nice dude.
Actually, that's the first Dimebag Darrell guitar, the Washburn. Yeah.
No, is it the Bolt?
I don't know. I haven't even opened that thing in a long time.
I used to have the Lightning Bolt one, the blue one.
It's no, that one doesn't have the light. It's all black and chrome.
Okay.
But dude, yeah, that was what a sad fucking story that is, man.
That's a disaster. Yeah.
That band's like I mean, it's a super band. I know. What was it? Tom, the guitarist. Is that the always wears the cowboy hat?
Yeah, Tom. He was in Nothing
Face. Yeah, I was a huge Nothing Face fan growing
Tom's
up.
a great dude.
Yeah,
we've toured with them a couple times, so like whenever we bump into them, it seems like family. I always get a kick out of it too because when I see Vinnie Paul now, he like gets up and gives me a hug.
That's
and I
wild.
used to watch in my bedroom when I was 16 the Pantera home videos every day, and I was like, those dudes are my heroes. And now I see Vinny, and it's like, oh, good to see you, man. Oh, we're gonna have a drink after. Oh yeah, we'll take you. He'd take us to his bar or whatever.
Do you still get nervous when you meet guys like that?
Well, not when I meet. Sometimes if I
like the
meet
first
them,
time you meet them, like do you like?
Yeah, well, the first time I met Vinny, I was just like, oh shit, that's cool. But what was I saying? Everyone's different reasons to get, or methods of getting through the day. But I have to get off the bus and go to a gym and just do something physical because I can't just rot. Like our drummer Jason can play Worlds of Warcraft for 10 hours a day. I cannot sit and my face would hurt so bad.
What does he do for the other 14 hours? Why?
Well, he's sleeping for 10 of them, on stage for one of them, probably drunk for the other couple. But he can play World of Warcraft for 10 hours a day, and that's how he gets through his day. Which is fine. I could never.
That's common, like video games on the road.
I could never look at a computer screen. I could never sit down that long. So,
because you turn into a fucking zombie. Like you turn into I've been here where I've like either worked on a podcast or I'll end up like working on a podcast and researching some stuff and watching a video. Next thing you know, I'm like down here for fucking hours and I'm like, dude, I don't even feel human anymore. Like I feel like a zombie. Like I go upstairs and I'm like, I feel like somebody would just trap me in a cage and they just release me to the world and I'm like, holy fuck, this is what light looks like and humans. And
I Google a gym, whatever's within a few miles. I find someone that works at the club with a car. And I'm like, hey, can you bring me to this gym? Yep, sure. And they take my phone number and, hey, can you pick me up too? Yeah, sure. They usually have runners.
Yeah.
The shows have runners, so.
But you kind of need that to get like that aggression out. I mean, how much in a better mood are you? One, after you eat, and two, after you work out.
The food, yeah.
Yeah.
The food, just the sense of accomplishment in general. I just feel
like you did.
I physically feel better in general just because exercise makes you feel better. Then the sense of accomplishment makes you feel better. Then you eat, and then you get back to the club, and it's a couple hours before showtime, and you grab your guitar, you start getting ready, and it's just like, for me, it's a good routine. I just feel.
Well, you probably woke up your body, got the blood pumping.
Yeah, on the days that I can't go, it's like a bummer, and I'm like usually in a bad mood because it's like I'm just sitting here like, God damn it.
Well, I've said this on the show multiple times about the idea that like the lifestyle that we live today, where people can have jobs and a lifestyle where they sit in front of a computer all day, is still very new to our bodies. So like you look at it like the beginning of civilization till today, we've always moved, and if we wanted to eat something, we had to kill it. If we wanted to have shelter, we had to build it. We had to do everything with our hands. Where like now people have lifestyles where they can be in front of a computer all day, but like people forget like there wasn't computers till the fucking 90s where they really became more common, and that wasn't that long ago. So like all our ancestors, forever, like they had to move, they had to do shit. So there is something about like I think built up aggression or energy that if you don't use it in some way, it ends up making you the road rage guy, or ends up making you the guy who gets pissed because somebody cut you in line, or I just I've always just liked
some form of. I played.
Oh, you played sports growing up,
when
so
I was
you're
younger,
probably.
but I was just always outside playing football or basketball or baseball. So I just need some sort of like physical activity in my day. It just makes me feel better. I can't.
Yeah, and that's definitely. I could see how that gets hard on the road, but it's good that you still.
Yeah, and it's nice to keep up on the road too. You get off. I used to before we couldn't do it. You just couldn't do it before in a van. There was no money to go to the gyms. There was no money for food. There was no money for anything.
Dude, that's rough. Yeah.
So you couldn't do it back then. And it's weird on those two. I want to come back fat. I'd come back really skinny because you couldn't afford food really. So I would kind of build up at the gym while I was home, and then you got to go on the road and lose everything, which was frustrating. Now we're luckily enough to be successful enough to have a bus and go to the gym and get some good food after and take a shower.
Yeah.
All the stuff people take for granted.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you're kind of, you're a big dude for a metal band because most metal guys are like, you see a lot of like skinny dudes in metal bands. And
yeah, it's a lot of band kids kind of like were the kids that got picked on when they were little, and they're small little kids, and now they're overcompensating to be in a band. I'm kind of like I'm a weird combination. Like I'm like the jock
who became, it is weird because you're right, because that doesn't happen often.
No, you don't see like people like me on stage very often, just because I'm just a lot different from most people in bands. I've noticed that ever since I got into the music scene. Like I would hang out with all these people at shows and bars, but I was like,
you're like, wait,
and I got along with them, but I was like, I am nothing like any of you people.
I think some of you're right. Some of it is like they all have like similar stories in some extent, like the outsider who like now is like they fit in because a lot of times I think that sparks good music. Like I think having those hard stories of growing up and not fitting in or shitty parents or whatever, like that does write good music. But every once in a while you can have a good musician who had a very common lifestyle or life and didn't wasn't heartbroken. Or
it's weird. I'm like the rare one. I always joke, we joke in the band a lot about like everyone's trying so hard, like when in band, not only the people in the bands but the people at the shows, everyone's trying so hard to be different. And it's like it almost like it doesn't dawn on all of them that everybody there is exactly the same. So we always joke about, oh man, you see somebody walk by that's just completely over the top, everything, just
you mean
doing
like
everything they can to be
like
noticed.
a goth kid who
and you're just like, oh boy, you're so different. And look, everyone's got neck tattoos and full sleeves and
because they're all fitting into. That's the thing. Like I feel like. That's the one thing that kind of drives me nuts about like these cliques, because it's like when I was growing up, I got into like metal in like middle school, and I was big Fear Factory fan and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I like these group of kids because they don't care what I look like, and they'll and they're cool with this type of music, and there was like punk kids and the whatever, and then I realized like, yeah, these kids all have this outside look like, oh, I don't give a fuck about anything, but I don't want to fit in your clique. I'm not about fitting in, but
they give a fuck the most.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's really like they're just trying to fit into another different crowd. They're just, so it's like, wait, the thing that you supposedly are anti, and that's fitting in and doing what's popular and fitting into a clique, you're doing that. You're just doing it with a different clique, and it just.
Yeah. I got along with everybody in high school, and you the dudes I went to high school with, you can ask them. It's like, I got along with the sports people because I played sports. I got along with the music people because I played music. I got along with the unpopular kids. I got along with the popular kids. But I was just like, I just acted the same to everybody.
Yeah.
I was just nice to everybody.
I was kind of the same way because once I got later in high school and I got into playing basketball and stuff like that, like playing music, I knew a lot of the metalheads and kids like that. And then playing basketball, I met a lot of the kids who were into basketball and playing on courts and shit like that and leagues. And then, and then I was also into just a bunch of different hobbies I was into cars. Me and my brother had like a corny little car club back in the day. So we're into cars. And we met a lot of the car people. And it was just, I think there's something about like, having all these different type of hobbies is good because you connect with different types of people. It makes you more interesting of a person instead of being like, oh, I'm just this anti-organized sports musician, or I'm this sports guy who doesn't like this type of, it's like there is something about, they make for the most interesting people. It's like, take in whatever you find interesting. Don't feel like you have to fit into something.
Yeah. People just don't know how to act.
yeah. That's a big, who was your big influences growing up, like for music? I mean,
there was the 80s, like the hair metal bands. So first it was Guns N' Roses, and they're still my favorite band ever, and they always will be. But Slash has always been my favorite guitar player. And Zach Wilde is another one, and but I loved all those bands that were in makeup and stuff, and they had all the girls in their videos, and there was fire everywhere, and I thought that was so cool. And it was just Bon Jovi and Def Leppard and Poison, Motley Crue, and Skid Row, which is one of the weirdest things about meeting Sebastian Bach. And I took the guy to TGI Fridays. I picked him up in Boston one day because he was coming in for he was filming some internet TV show, but he got a hold of me. I met him in Jersey at a show, and he got a hold of me through Twitter asking if I knew anybody that could get him weed.
Really?
And I was like, dude, he's like, I'm flying into Boston tomorrow. Do you know anybody anywhere I could get some good weed? And I was like, I'm going to a Red Sox game tomorrow in Boston. I was like, I'll bring you some. I was like, I'm sure I can get my hands on. So I don't smoke. I don't do drugs or anything like that, really. But I can get that stuff, no problem. I know plenty of people. But he was like, oh, cool, man. Here's my phone number. And went to the Red Sox game, and me and my buddies just went to his hotel. He's like, oh, I can't wait to play you my new record. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to hear it. And he's like, the only thing open's TGI Fridays. You want to go eat? And I'm like, yeah. And then the movie producer guy he was with bought us all of our food. The tab was like $400 or something. And I was just sitting in a booth with Sebastian Bach all night.
Must have felt surreal.
It was just the coolest thing ever. And the weirdest thing that happened that night was when a buddy of mine got up to go to the bathroom, the waitress for our table pulled my friend aside and said, is that the guitar player for All That Remains?
While you were sitting next
While I was sitting right next to Sebastian Bach. And my buddy goes, well, yeah. But he's confused. He goes, but that's Sebastian Bach sitting right next to him. And she goes, who? She didn't know who we were. It was probably a younger girl, but
that's still pretty bad.
My buddy was just like, dude, the waitress knew who you were and not him. And I was just laughing about it.
That is fucking hilarious.
And then afterwards, we sat in my car and we listened to his whole new record. He maxed out my stereo. My car stereo sucks. He maxed out my car stereo. He's moshing in my car. He freaks out to his own music.
How come I'm not surprised?
He loves it. And I'm a big fan. I love his solo records and I love Skid Row. But I was just sitting there man, it's just weird. This dude just hangs out and, same thing you think those people are living on a different planet when you're a younger kid. So
I think that's so true. You look at celebrities and you look at athletes, and I had a guy who played in the NBA on my show. This guy, Aboki Nakbar, who was drafted in 2002, played 7-8 years in the NBA, and now he plays all overseas and stuff like that. It's a multimillionaire. He got a 9.3 million euro contract, which is $12 million.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's
more.
Well, that's why he left the NBA, because Moscow offered him all this money. And you would think, okay, this guy played in the NBA. He was, ego, probably has an ego, dude. One of the nicest dudes I've ever met. And and it's just it's one of those things where you learn holy shit, people are just people. We put them on TV, we put them on magazines. We have this idea, this fantasy that they must know that we look at them this way, but a lot of times they don't. Sometimes they just are regular people.
Most of the biggest ones that you think are the biggest celebrities are the nicest ones.
I was going to ask you, have you ever met any dicks? But then I'm that could get you in trouble.
The really famous people, and no. I'm trying to think. I've met dicks that are in bands on my level, on our level, and I'm it's wow, it's why are you acting like that? You're a fucking asshole, and no one gives a shit, but you think everyone gives a shit. And Duff from Guns N' Roses, in Germany, just get me. We were walking in the hallway, and I saw him, and we had met before. And he was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And we're just chatting. And I was like, "I'm trying to get a towel because I want to take a shower." He's like, "Oh, hang on a second." And he went in some room and got me Duff from Guns N' Roses went and got me a towel. Man. And I was just that's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me, because Guns N' Roses is my favorite band of all time. And just most of the most famous dudes, all the Slipknot guys have always been great, and all the biggest bands that we've played with.
You guys toured with As Lay Dying back in the day.
Yeah.
They were
interesting situation there.
Yeah, dude, the singer. Dude, I'm a huge As Lay Dying fan. Shadows.
I think I still have Tim's number.
Do
which
you
is
really?
Weird because he's in jail.
Yeah,
but
I'm
sure that's not his number anymore.
Yeah, I Shadows and Security are one of my favorite albums of all time, and I remember they were just seeing them live, and they were just because they had an amazing live show. That band,
they're always great live. Dude, we've done a ton of tours with them.
They seem like the nicest dudes.
They all are.
Yeah,
Tim was great.
Well, now they have a new band, Woven War, with the singer, the guitarist of Oh Sleeper. is
Yeah.
which is pretty good actually too.
Yeah, it's different. Different with the singing.
Yeah, because he didn't do the screaming. He just did the clean vocals and No Sleeper. And now he does like a little bit of screaming, but you can tell it's not his thing.
I like all those As I Lay Dying guys have been they've always been really cool. And me and Tim, I know the last tour we did together, me and Tim got along great, and we hung out a lot. And I don't know what the hell happened. I guess he just the general opinion seems to be that once he started doing a shitload of steroids, he lost his mind.
Well, he obviously did do some steroids because I think he was working out with Carrot Top or something. I'm kidding. But
Yeah, Carrot Top. No, the thing with Tim, we were on a 2010 tour. It was also As I Lay Dying and Unearth. It was a long tour, and I have a little.
I actually think I went to one of those shows.
Yeah, there was one in.
Did you Palladium or the Webster?
I think we did the Webster on that tour.
Yeah.
But excuse me, I'm farting on your podcast.
It's all right.
That's allowed.
Luckily,
right?
I can't hear it with the
If I can
headphones.
swear, I can fart. Right?
No, that's where I cut that. That's where I draw the line.
Oh God, so I'm not going to hold it in. But I bring a bench and like some weights and stuff on the road just for like a portable part. Like if it's nice out, do something in the parking lot. And I remember Tim coming up to us one day and just going, "Oh wow, yeah, I never do that. I never worked out in my life." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're tall and like you're really like tall and thin. Like you'd be a monster if you did." And he was like, "Yeah, I should try that sometime." And he just walked away, and he never talked about it again. And then 2 years later, I was just like, "What the fuck?"
His shoulders were
like
huge.
you're just a monster. And everyone's like, people are telling me, they're like, "Yeah, I know the dude who gets him. I know the dude getting him steroids and stuff like this." And I'm like, whatever. Everybody assumes he's doing steroids anyways. But apparently that really I don't believe steroids can affect you mentally that much, honestly.
Not, yeah.
Especially if you're doing them the right way. And a lot of people think I'm on them, and I'm not.
I've done a cycle in high school, or I think it was either senior year or right after senior year. And obviously there is, anytime you're affecting your hormones, there's going to be some mental effect, but not to the point where I never decide that I want to get somebody killed because I was on steroids,
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but man, that's an unfortunate situation. I'm glad the rest of those guys have got a band going and stuff.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I'm sure it'll do fine. The band, the band's good, so I'm sure it'll do fine. But what a weird.
It just sucks because the thing is the headlines were Christian metal band does, and it was funny because I'm like, dude, did you ever listen to the album or any of their shit? I'm like, even though they were considered a Christian metal band because the founding members were Christian when they started the band.
Yeah, that was a load of shit.
Yeah, none of the lyrics had to do with Christianity. They had what could be more metal than just skulls everywhere, and they had skulls everywhere. Like everything was a skull, and it was like, yeah. I'm like, where do you see the Christianity? I understand that they might be, and I remember an interview with them once, and they were talking about, people would ask them, "Oh, you guys Christian band?" And they're like, "Oh," we're like, "Well, we don't write we don't consider ourselves Christian metal because we don't write Christian music." They're like, our opinions of our lives and stuff like that obviously can be affected by our religion, but so can, if you're Catholic, obviously that's going to have some influence on your writing because it has some influence on your views,
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where just so do you consider a Catholic band, if everybody's Catholic in a band, do you consider them a Catholic metal band?
Yeah, and Tim did some interviews saying they just use the Christian label to make money.
And I know
and it works.
Well, it does because at one time
it's shitty.
Yeah,
it works. I
but
guess.
Yeah, because they had a burst of Christian metal bands that got huge. I know Devil Wears Prada was one that I loved. That
we toured with them.
Yeah,
extensively.
They recorded at Zing, right?
Yeah. We were actually just about to do another bunch of shows with them, but our album got pushed back.
I love Devil Wears Prada. They're one of those bands that always seem interesting to me because they're another band that they don't mind doing melodies in one song. They don't mind they don't do the same type of songwriting either. They'll be like, okay, we're not just gonna do the verse, chorus, verse type thing. They're gonna be breakdown, heaviness, part that you didn't expect, and they're like, where's the song going?
I don't know their stuff very well for the amount of shows we play together. I don't.
Do you ever watch other bands when you're?
It depends on how burnt out on tour I am. So,
yeah, well, that's true.
Certain tours I'm just fried. I'm just staying as far away as possible because it's just too much after a while. But certain bands we tour with I love, and I'll go watch them every night. I remember in the summers of 05 and 06 doing Sounds of the Underground and Ozfest. I was on the side of the stage every day watching Every Time I Die. And I've always loved that band. And we did a Five Finger Death Punch tour a few years ago with Hatebreed, and
Yeah.
Hatebreed was going on right before us every night, and I always made sure I got to the stage super early so I could watch Hatebreed. Because I would warm up on the side of the stage and just watch Hatebreed every night. It's just fun because,
Dude, isn't
you
it
could see a band
amazing
you like.
that this area was like known for that, like that genre of music, like metalcore? I remember going to a Palladium show, and this band was it from? I can't even remember. Is it from? It's not from Tomorrow. Who is it? It's whoever it was. It was this band from the UK, and they were a metal band playing in the Palladium, and they're like 413, not 413, but they're like, oh, New England or whatever, Massachusetts. They're like, isn't this the home of metalcore? And then I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, even in the UK, they know that this is.
It was a bigger movement, I think, than people realize. As far as like, we got a band like us, and then you got Killswitch, and then Shadows Fall,
and you had
then
Diecast
bands-
at one time, and
yeah, a lot of just there's a lot of good stuff coming right from here.
this area, it's fucking wild.
Yeah, and people knew it everywhere in the world. Because Killswitch was the first. Killswitch is like the Nirvana of that movement.
They really
And, like,
were. Yeah.
People in the our first European tour was with them, and it blew me away. It was sold out every night, and I couldn't believe I was in Scotland playing a sold out show, and with my buddies that we used to just play at the Fat Cat with. And
Fucking so wild.
I was just like, this is fucking, man, this is really escalated
Yeah.
in a good way. So we've all been really lucky. So
Yeah, but you know what? You guys are good. I mean, and the thing about, I think what made you guys and Killswitch really stick out from the herd was that you guys did a great, it kind of is a reflection of, how you were saying like, oh, I got along with these kids because I was this, and I got along with that kid, and I also liked it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think your music is the same way. Like you have melodies, so people who like songs with melodies like your band. You have heaviness, so people who like heavy music likes your band. You have like riffs, so people who like pure metal stuff, like thrash and stuff, can really like your band. So I'm like, it was one of those things where there was a little bit of something for a lot of different types of people, and I think that kind of stuck out, and what made guys like All That Remains and Killswitch Engage really just like, holy shit, like this is awesome, because it's like I can show this band to a friend of mine who doesn't even like metal, and they like them, and
yeah, it's cool. I don't, a lot. I'm sure there's talent involved, but there's so much luck involved in music. I've known so many bands over the years that were just like, why are you not like gigantic? So I really think there's a lot of luck. we've been really lucky, and so is Killswitch. And there's something to be said for good songs. Obviously, you have to have the songs.
absolutely, yeah.
But there's got to be a whole shitload of luck on your side too to make everything kind of like combine and move forward and stuff.
Well, I saw an interview with you talking about how like 2 weeks till this day is still like one of the most downloaded, which is crazy.
That song is just an absolute freak of nature. We were scared to death to put it out.
Because of the melodies?
In general, because it was the first song with all singing.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we should just change it. We're like, just scream. And there was, it was like, just scream like some of it. Just make it more like us. I remember people at our label were like, no, it's good. Just leave it. It's going to be fine. And it just exploded. That song exploded so much. It was like, it got taken out of rotation, I guess, like 3 times. And radio stations were telling me this when I was doing like interviews with them, and they were like, every time we took that song out of rotation, people just flipped until we put it back on. Like, people just loved it. And it was like, okay, cool. That was like an accident.
I think certain songs, there's something like, like that song, and Killswitch had, what was their big hit? End of the Heartbreak. Yeah.
End of Heartache. That's I think that's like the best. If you want to call it metalcore, I don't like the term metalcore.
Yeah.
But if you want to use that genre word, whatever, I think that's the best metalcore song ever.
Yeah.
I think that's the top one.
It's hard to argue, and I'll tell you, like that song, 2 weeks. I mean, I know that Five Finger Death Punch had the song "The Bleeding," and like certain songs.
That band is gigantic.
Yeah, they're huge. It's funny because I was the singer. I don't know what his real name is, but Ivan. Yeah, but I remember him as Ghost back in the day in Motorgrader.
Yeah, we toured with Motorgrader when Ivan was in the band.
Dude, they were nasty. I thought they were.
I wasn't a Motorgrader fan.
Really?
No, I was listening to Five Finger Day at the gym, but dude, Motorgrader not so much.
Really, I loved his voice. Like, I'm just like, dude, this motherfucker has a really, him,
he's got a great voice. Yeah.
Him and Pete Murray, who I was a big Ultra Spank fan back in the day.
Ultra Spank,
yeah.
Wow, I saw them at the Palladium with Seven Dust.
Yeah,
and Stuck Mojo.
Oh my god,
and Monster Magnet. I think
they're
weird.
Still doing music. Monster Magnet, but yeah,
they are.
I was a huge Ultra Spank fan because Pete Murray and Ivan from Motor Grader. They were like my two favorite voices at that time. I'm like, dude, these guys can sing, they can scream, they're catchy. I'm like, these guys are fucking awesome. And like I kind of follow both of their careers. Like I know Pete plays in low pro with Mike, another Mike from Ludlow. Remember?
Yeah.
I don't know Mike too well, but I know that the guitars of Low Pro is from Ludlow.
I remember that name. I don't know the dudes, but didn't like Godsmack sign those guys or something?
Yeah, I think one of the drummer was from Godsmack.
Yeah.
They had like, it was kind of like a combination of a bunch of bands, and but that was a fun time for music, man. You had like Ultra Spank, you had Nothing Face, you had it was kind of they consider the new metal Spine Shank, Fear Factory, and like all like that was. It's funny how like music comes in these waves where it's just like all of a sudden like people are sick of the fucking same old shit, and then like they open up to all these big. I remember going to Loca Bazooka. AAF used to put it together.
Yeah, we played one of those.
Did you really?
We right before Dime got killed actually, and we played with Damage Plan.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was standing next to Dime. I was too afraid to say anything to him, like a bitch, and I didn't say anything. And like 2 weeks later, he died. But I remember I went to a Local Bazooka. I remember Coal Chamber playing and all these.
Remember
bands.
1 Minute Silence?
Yeah,
dude. I'm actually Yap, the singer, is supposed to be on my show. I think either Friday or Saturday this week.
I saw them at the listen to this lineup at the Webster. 1 Minute Silence, I believe, was first. It was Godsmack, Kid Rock, and Seven Dust at the Webster.
What?
It was the Christmas something. What the fuck? I forgot the name of it. It was
that would sell like
some
Madison
CCC
Square
like
Garden.
Christmas bash. That's when like before Kid Rock and Godsmack got
Really
like,
huge,
enormous.
yeah.
And I remember 1 Minute Silence played that show.
Dude, they were my like Rage Against the Machine. Like everybody loved Rage, and I'm like, no, they're good. But I'm like, I have this band from Ireland that is similar to them. But
I haven't heard that name in ages. The names you're bringing up are like, wow.
It's cool to like talk to people like the same age who like grew up listening to the same type of music, because it's like you'll hear these names and like somebody from like the outside listening to the show is like, who the fuck are they talking about? But it's
tell you, Ivan's done well from. Ivan knows what he's doing. Like, he's a smart dude. I think you're going to have all those kids on the internet. The elitist metal kids will go online and bitch about Five Finger Death Punch and call them the Nickelback. They're the Nickelback of metal, and fuck that, and that's false metal, and this is bullshit, and it's just stupid lyrics and stupid everything. It's meathead music. Ivan's like as smart as can be.
Well, they kind of remind me like they're like the lyrics and stuff like that kind of remind me of like our generations of like a Maiden or something like that. A lot of people think those lyrics are dumb. Yeah,
I think they're the smartest thing you could possibly do, because people just relate. When you can connect with that many people, you're not stupid.
Yeah,
Ivan is not stupid. Ivan's talented, and he's not stupid, and he's right. The way they write, it's smart, and it's working because they're doing arenas.
Well, I think there's something to the fact that they're another band like you guys that like they do really heavy music, but yet it's catchy, and it's like you can get, because you take away Ivan singing and you listen to just the music. I'm like, that's you put screaming on that and it could be a fucking
yeah. There's still a lot of stuff still heavy.
Yeah, but but it's like he does do a lot of singing, and I know a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, this and that, but it's like, dude, there's still like a heavy band.
Yeah.
Just because there's not, I mean, it's weird because heavy is like one of those things you can't really explain. It's like what makes a band heavy. It's
well, yeah. You talk to the common like soccer mom, and are you guys heavy like Stained? They think Stained is like devil music. So no, we're not. But Five Finger Death Punch is putting as many people in arenas as Slipknot is.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Slipknot's one of those bands that just can't die either. Like I feel like fans will just be loyal to them forever.
Absolutely, and they take so long in between
man.
records too. It's such a big deal. So when their record comes out, it's a huge deal, and then when they tour, it's a huge deal, which is cool. They can afford to do it that way. Most bands can't.
Well, they couldn't afford to do it at one time when they were splitting a small paycheck with nine dudes.
People, yeah, but most bands can't put a record out and then not do that for 5 years. But Slipknot can, and it works, and everything they do works. Their show, you're not going to see like a more entertaining live heavy band.
Oh, they are fucking nasty.
Their live show is absurd. It's so good, and like you can call it, because it's mainstream. All the tough guy internet kids can hate it and be as mad as they want.
That first Slipknot album, I remember the first time I opened that CD, I'm like, what the fuck did I just buy? And I'm like putting this in and I'm listening to it and I'm like, this is like, it's almost like my brain couldn't even comprehend the violence and the fucking craziness of this band. I
didn't hear the CD. I saw them open the main stage at Ozfest in like 98. And they just blew the place away. It was like noon. And the place was already packed, and they just ripped everything apart. I was like, that band is going to be gigantic tomorrow.
Yeah.
They put their album out. And it was just huge.
I think it was like you said, like you use Nirvana as an example. I think sometimes you have those bands that are the Nirvana of that era. Like they were that band that was like, they were so different and so much darker and heavier than everything else that was popular. That kind of opened a door to a lot of those bands that came after them, like System of a Down and Machine Head started getting more popular that time too, and all these. And Machine Head's another band that like I'm like, why aren't these guys bigger? Like they were a band that I grew up loving, and I'm like that's another guy who can play guitar and sing, and I'm like, why isn't?
Yeah. They're not catering to they're not catering to people's attention spans. Their songs are getting longer and longer.
Yeah,
as
they
their
are.
albums.
Well,
I just listened to their new album last week, and there was one song with a 4.5 minute intro. And it's like, you can't do that anymore.
You can't,
like, for the style of the band, they can do whatever they want for the style of the band they are. If we go to radio and say we're going to put the song on the radio and it has 4 minutes of like this fuzzy silent intro, people are going to be like, we're going to chop that off, and we're taking the guitar solo out too.
Yeah, the only bands that did do that was Metallica and Tool. Tool was like the band that you could listen. You're like, what the fuck? Why is the radio silent? And you hear toot toot.
Well, another band that kind of gets away with, like, it seems like the rules don't apply is Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah,
they can get away with like long songs. Like we get harassed by radio stations.
Really?
If our song's longer than 3.5 minutes, they're chopping. And I was listening to What If I Was Nothing on the way here, and they chopped the last chorus in half to just to chop 15 seconds off the song. And I'm just like, is that really necessary? But an Avenged Sevenfold comes out with a single that's 6.5 minutes long with 9 guitar solos in it, and it's fine.
Does that affect your guys' structure of the song or the songwriting, like trying to keep them short, or is that something that you're like?
Not so much. I just think if we know we're going to do that kind of style of a song, we know not to put like a 4-minute instrumental section.
Yeah.
If we're going to do a song like Stand Up, there's not going to be a 3-minute like guitar trade-off solo session in the middle, because it's like there's no point, because the radio is just going to cut it out. But we take songs that we just know aren't going to be on the radio and do whatever we want with them, which is nice to still be able to do that. But those always end up being the ones people don't care about anymore.
Yeah. Well, nice thing about an album too is that you can kind of, if you want to do a long song, you can throw it in there. You can kind of mix up, different styles and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one we got coming out it's like my favorite album we've ever done. I know it's like kind of the thing where every band guy says like their new album's their favorite thing they've ever done. I get that.
Phil's pretty honest, because didn't he say one of the, I don't know which album it was, but I remember
the last one, and that was completely
blown out of proportion.
That was the interview person just not fucking listening. Phil had said in the interview that everyone in the band is so happy with our new album, it almost makes us feel like our last album sucks.
And what?
And then, of course, the headline that goes online is "Singer for All That Remains finally admits that their last album sucks."
I was going to say, because
it's like, no, he did not even say that. But of course, you're going to turn it into this fucking. People are idiots.
But you know what it is, too? It's all about hits, too, man. Oh, if I put this headline, people are going to click on this, which means I'm going to get these advertisements, to pay me. And
he admitted the album. He didn't say the album sucks. He was just like, as a reference point, state how much we like our new album, because everyone in the band is so excited about it.
Yeah, but I think, I just saw Joe Rogan's new special on Comedy Central like last week, and he was talking about it on his podcast, and he was saying how, like, compared to this last one, same thing. Like he's like, it sucks compared to this last one. And I think as an artist, you're always trying to improve. And and every album you should look back and say, holy shit, like I've become a better musician, better songwriter. So compared to that last one, like you do feel like your last one sucks because your new one should be better.
Yeah, I look at my old band and those are embarrassing to me.
Yeah,
but it was a great time doing it, and fun, and some people liked it. So,
and playing shows in like basements and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was just cool. You're with your friends, and it's all you want to do. And anything to get out of your regular working schedule and all that stuff. But that guy, whoever did that interview, is a fucking moron because it's just dumb. I don't care if you're gonna crap on us, but if you're gonna like twist shit,
yeah, that's fucked up.
then you're just
Especially
like,
just to
you're
do it-
going out of your way to make things up. And
Yeah.
Phil did not say that. But then, people, of course, oh, yeah, well, it did suck. There was a slow song on it. And it was like our 2 highest charting singles we ever had on our last record. Our last record did not suck by any means, but, people,
Yeah, that's
it's all objective.
That's like like we talked about earlier in the show, is the idea that like now that you're in a public eye, everything you say can be like, and it can be cut. It can be like, oh, just like let's just forget the way they worded the question or how we started his answer. Let's just take these 2 words, album sucked, and use that as a headline.
It's just ridiculous, but nothing you can stop.
Yeah,
Single-handedly, there's no way.
So, and you guys have a show coming up too, and are you playing Pearl Street soon?
Yeah, December 19th, 2 weeks from Friday. So
Nice.
I don't know when this is going up on.
I'll probably be up in a couple days.
Yeah, so probably 2 weeks from whenever this goes up.
Yeah,
because it's Friday. It's the 19th of December.
Nice.
It's the Laser 99.3 show that we do every year. It's usually called the Holiday Hangover. We're doing it a little before Christmas this year. I don't know why, but it's a slight bit earlier than it usually is. But it's awesome every year.
You guys playing with with some other bands?
Hope Lies Within is playing. They usually play it like every year with us. They're playing, and a bunch of buddies of mine have a band called City of Homes. They're playing, and there's a couple other bands on it, I think, and I just don't remember what.
And they're all metal-ish type bands?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very, what you would expect for
from playing
that
with you
kind
guys.
of show.
Yeah.
But that show's great every year. We did that show one year in a blizzard, and it was still just about sold out. So, and last year was sold out. I think pretty much all the time it's sold out. The only year it wasn't was the year there was a blizzard, and I think it was like 50 people short of being sold out. So,
well, even though you don't get recognized when you go out around here, the weird thing is like when you I remember seeing you guys at the Webster. I think you played with the Asking Alexandria, and and it was awesome to hear people scream 413 4, and I'm like,
cool.
and I'm thinking like, holy shit, we're in Hartford, and I'm like, dude, everybody, I'm like, people know these guys. These are local fans.
Yeah, that was a good show. That was a great show. I remember that. That is one of the hottest places to play.
The Palladium.
Or
the Webster?
Webster.
Yeah.
It's just when it's sold out, and that show was sold out. It was disgusting.
Oh, you mean like actual hot, like?
Yeah, like sweating, like you literally like almost can't play your guitar.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah.
It's just water dripping off your hands.
Why don't they like I've seen In Fear and Faith in the small room in that place, and it was the same thing. Just sitting there, like just watching, I was sweating balls.
It's
and
the Webster. You can't expect like
do they just
state-of-the-art
not give
anything.
a fuck? Like
Pretty much.
I mean, I'm sure bands complain, right? I mean, obviously. Or do you just you're so used to playing weird places? You're like, fuck it.
I don't know. Most bands come up just playing dumps. It's like nobody really like once you get used to it, you don't really like think. You don't even think. You just walk into a place and you're like, yeah, this is disgusting. It's just what it is. Yeah. None of the stalls have doors on them. The bathrooms. It's like you're trying to find a place to take a crap, and it's like, I'm just going to go in a bucket.
Doing my guitar case or something.
Just go on the street real quick. It's just.
Have you ever played at like, because obviously when you do your tours, when they, obviously they do the schedule for you guys, you obviously, a lot of these places you might not know what they are or what type of place. You ever go to somewhere you're like, holy fuck, why did my manager book this place?
Why did he book it?
Or like, well, probably because of money, but I'm guessing like, this is a shithole. Why, or any place that was that bad that you're like, I can't believe we're never playing this again. No,
because it's like once you played CBGB's, it's like
everything seems a step up from that.
I remember Phil, like we pulled up to CBGB's for the first time. Phil's like, I'm going to take a dump in that bathroom. I just want to say that I took a dump at CBGB's because there's just like no door, like down the staircase you can see right into the toilet stall. It was just like one of his accomplishments. He just wanted to.
Dude, it's so weird because I've been to so many places where I'm just like, dude, with very little investment in anything, like you could put a door on the bathroom. You could it doesn't take a lot of money to make this place look a little bit more presentable. And I wonder how much of it is like, no, we like the grimy, fucking dirty. This is a metal,
There's a lot of those, but man, we've played some beautiful places too. There's a lot of like really great places too. You'd be surprised. It does happen. There's both.
Yeah,
it's nice. Thank God.
Well,
nice
thanks
to get a break sometimes.
yeah. Well, that's true. And I guess you appreciate the nice places when you have the shitty places. We talked about women before the show, like, you appreciate a nice dude when you have the shitty dude, and you don't ever want to be the first, you'd never want to date a girl when she hasn't had the shithead before you, because she will definitely be like, this guy's too nice, and just like get rid of you.
Yeah, girls do that.
Yeah.
That shit's annoying.
Yeah, when we meet a girl that's really nice, we're like, oh shit, like this girl's cool. You
Yeah,
know?
the girls say she's too nice, and then they go and date a bunch of douchebags and bitch.
And then they come back and be like, oh, he's the guy who got away. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
stupid.
but I mean, I think we're all like that. I think when you have the shithead, it's like you remember, like, oh shit, like not ever. You take things for granted. Like if you're with the same person long enough, you'll be like, oh shit, like, you know, I can find somebody else just like her. You know, I can do better than this. And then you go out in the market and you're like, holy fuck, like there's a lot of shitheads out there, you know. And
I have one question for you because you live here.
yeah,
How often do you go to Pizza Corner?
I live there.
That's my favorite pizza ever.
It's so funny because I tell people that all the time, and the owner,
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, dude, you don't understand, because I have a friend that worked there for a little bit, and I'm like, she's like, listen, Charlie could make more money if he actually used cheaper grade ingredients, but he chooses not to, and he wants.
The prices are outrageous
For a pizza joint. Absolutely,
it's ridiculous.
I mean,
it's so worth it.
But it is. I mean, they have that Greek style pizza with that, like the pan pizza,
so
you know. And I tell people all the time, like people who aren't familiar with the area, I'm like, oh, you want the best pizza? Go to Pizza Corner. Like, where the hell is that? I'm like, oh, it's right over the bridge. And they're like, really? I'm like, I'm serious. And the thing is that every time you order something there, it looks like they cloned it from last time you ate it. Like it looks consistent. Identical. Like you go to pizza places and it's just like one time it's greasy, the other time it's you know. And I'm like,
exactly
this place. I'm sure like you could go on tour for like 8 years, come back, and it's the exact same food. You know.
Oh, it doesn't matter how much time passes. Exactly. You know, he tells everybody who's making those pizzas exactly how to make them.
Yeah, he's and he lives there. He lives there,
and they still don't take credit cards.
They just started.
Oh, he takes them.
Yeah, because for the longest time, I was telling people that too. They're like, make sure you have cash because they don't take credit cards. And they're like, yeah, they do. And I'm like, when the fuck did they start doing that? And then I went there and I realized that they did recently start doing that. They just haven't advertised it.
I was there up till this summer, and he still didn't have it this summer, but I haven't been since the summer.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's probably a smart business idea. It's like, well, how about I have it here, but yet, you know, like if people bring cash, great, and then if they notice this, then maybe they'll, you know. But why do you think so many mobsters to open up pizzerias? It's a fucking great place to hide dirty money. You know, it's all a cash business like that.
Yeah, he's gotten away with some terrible prices there, but man, the pizza's good.
Well, I guess a lot of it has to do with like grade of ingredients. You know, it's like they're like, well, you can either get like a mid grade or like really good, and a lot of pizzerias will do like cheaper ingredients to obviously keep it. And he'll do all like the best stuff, and you can taste it. I mean, like I love pizza, and like once a week.
Sure, people on the podcast are really going to care about
they're going to hate this. They're like, well, fuck you guys. Go talk about metal
we're
again.
like 2.5 hours in. They're going to be like, I'm done. They were probably done a while ago.
You'll be surprised, man. I've done 2-3 hour podcasts, and I've had a lot of people. Actually, one of them was like one of my most downloaded podcasts ever. And
if anyone downloads this one, I'm going to be amazed. No one gives a shit about me. So
well,
be prepared for not very many results on this.
No, it'll do. Well, I've been super lucky too with you know, like yourself. I'm living a dream doing this. Only my dream pays like shit, but
mine did too for like 8 years. Trust me, you'll get there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But I mean, I've been lucky enough to like I said, I had the amazing Jonathan on and Dr. Brzezinski and just Dan Carlin, who does Hardcore History. It's like one of the most popular podcasts. He has 2 of the most popular podcasts in the world. And I remember when he came on, I like was so nervous. I sound like a fucking idiot because, and I want to have him back on because I really didn't have any business having him on that early in my podcast doing this. And but it was just you know, so it just it's, I think as much as people, and then we talked about this briefly before we started recording. I think the thing about podcasts is there is something about the uncensoredness, the people bullshitting and just having a conversation about whatever, like pizzerias, you know, like
it's just not a list of questions. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we have to stick to this, or let's just talk about music, or I like Joe Rogan, for example. He's had the singer of Tool on there. He just had Joe Perry, who actually I just found out his actual birth name was Joe Pereira because he's half Portuguese. But
yeah, those dudes. God, I love Aerosmith.
Yeah, and he had him on. And the cool thing about that podcast compared to all the other interviews you see with them is that they talked about like personal stuff, personal experiences. They went on with some silly shit. They talked about like serious stuff and silly shit. And I think that like people like that. I think Joe Rogan's one of the most downloaded podcasts in the world, and he's created an empire with that show. And I think there's, you know, it seems silly because he really did just start it as I'm just gonna plug in some microphones and we're gonna bullshit. And he's like,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna listen to this. And then he didn't realize that there was a market for it, because I think it's the same type of fans who like Howard Stern, who like Opie and Anthony,
Yeah.
like people who like, you know, this is real people talking. Like, this is just guys bullshitting, uncensored, and I think people appeal to that. People like that because it's people. You sound like, I mean, I'm not a perfect talker. You're not a perfect talker. We fuck up. We act silly sometimes. We're serious. I mean, like, so it's like, oh shit, these people. The same way people look at certain songs and are like, oh shit, this relates to my life, so this is why I like it. I think they're like, these dudes relate to me because they sound like me. You know?
Yeah.
So I think people like that shit. So it's just, I think it's
human.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, now with like podcasts being easy to get on your phone, like my podcast, and just like all the other podcasts, you can get them on iTunes or any podcast app. If you have an Android Podcast Addict or whatever, you download it, you know, at home when you have Wi-Fi, you listen to it in your car, and you don't have to listen. You don't have to listen on Papelbon and you know, on WEI. It's like, stop talking about David Ortiz. I don't care. You know, it's like,
I like EEI though.
yeah, I do too, because it was a nice change when domestic radio sucked to have that, because it's like, oh shit, like, you know. But I think it was the same intriguement with that was the same reason people like podcasts, is because it was nice, instead of just listening to domestic radio and just hearing, you know, the same fucking, as much as we love Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith, like the same Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith song all the time.
Yeah, you don't hear deep cuts, you know.
yeah. It was nice to have that, you know. It was nice to have you know, just people talking, and it's like, oh shit, these guys are bullshitting about sports the same way I would bullshit with my buddies about sports. You know, so
That's cool. Yeah, I have to start listening to some more. The one I want to listen to the most is the CM Punk one that he just did. I don't know if you know CM Punk at all, the wrestler.
I know who
Yeah,
he is.
he left the company. And it was like a big. He didn't talk about it until like last week. He did it's like this podcast called The Art of Wrestling. He did 2 hours of like just kind of thrashing everything, and people are free. It's like the number 2 podcast on the top of the charts now because he was on it. And I've been looking. I tried to download it the other day.
Is that his own show or another?
No, it's this guy called Colt Cabana. He's an old wrestler.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And it's called The Art of Wrestling, and he has a lot of wrestlers. He has all wrestlers on there, obviously. But the CM Punk is the big. He's like one of the biggest names in wrestling over the last 10 years, and him just bailing and being gone all of a sudden, people are just like, what the hell? So he did the podcast for like 2 hours, and people are flipping about it. So
because everybody wants.
I tried to download the other day, and it just wouldn't work because I think so many people were downloading it.
Really?
So I'm going to try again because I'm dying to hear it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, knowing that he did a podcast while talking about this, you know, you're going to get some like real conversation, some real in-depth stuff, and some of the actual events that happened, instead of like, oh, he went on fucking, you know, CNN and talked about it. So now
I've been reading about what he said, but you know, you're not getting it all in like little snippets, you know.
Yeah. I think there's something. I don't know what it is about wrestling that it's still intriguing, like the behind the scenes stuff, like who hated who and who the grudges and like, did you get along with this guy? Did you get, you know, like I just listened to Roddy Piper podcast not too long ago, and I was listening to him with Jesse Ventura, because Jesse Ventura was actually on his podcast, and it was just fun to hear them talk about, because it was like, you know, growing up and knowing these guys, and you know, you're trying to put the pieces together with like what happened, you know, in front of the camera and what happened behind the camera. And it's
crazy.
It is. It's like, I don't know. I think, you know, it's the same way like music kind of affected people. Like wrestling at that peak right there, it was just the storylines were amazing. You're a kid, so you still have this crazy imagination, and you love this exciting like nonsense of like characters and over the top people.
It's a real life comic book.
It really was. Yeah, and the girls didn't hurt either. You know,
that's great. That's a nice addition.
Yeah, it is the divas, and it's amazing how well that show does. And people who watch it aren't even wrestling fans.
Oh, I watched the shit out of that show.
Do you, divas?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, dude, my girlfriend watches it. I'm like, dude, you don't even watch wrestling. She's like, yeah, but you know, I'm like, I guess.
Just a bunch of hot chicks arguing. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, you could just mute it and still find it entertaining.
I love it.
Well, before we talk too much, if anybody's still listening.
Yeah, they got to be done by now.
No, but you'll be surprised, man. I mean, the podcast, it's funny because I remember when I first started doing the show, and I was just doing it with Dave. And I actually, my co-host Dave, we did a show, I don't know, like a month or two ago. He didn't do a show for some months, and then came back, and we did 2 shows in a row. And he's like, oh, nobody's gonna listen to those. You've had all these cool guests, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I like took a picture of like the statistics on the downloading and then sent it to him, and I'm like, look, people are listening, and he's like, oh fuck. I'm like, dude, you'll be surprised how many people actually just enjoy like two interesting people or just people in general that are pretty cool talking about shit, you know? And it surprises me every fucking time I go online. I'm like, who the fuck is downloading this? I'm like, you know, I go online, I'll just see like, you know, like that Ben McLeish episode, I had like, you know, just I was like second in my category like overnight, and I had like thousands of downloads, and I'm like, are you fucking, I'm like, who is listening to me talk for 3 hours?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it's cool.
The crazy part is I'm doing it in the basement in Ludlow, you know,
Ludlow.
and I'm talking to people from fucking like the UK and you know, and just fucking all over. I had James Corbett on from Japan, and like, you know, it's just it's amazing that I'm like, dude, it's fucking Ludlow, and I'm like, I'm doing it. But I mean, they're probably same thing to you. It's like, dude, I grew up in Ludlow, and now I'm playing shows all. Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I would move back. I totally would.
Are you living nearby? But
I live by Westover Air Force Base in Chicopee, like
yeah.
by his condos, like right by the base. But and I like it a lot.
Condos are nice. You know, you don't have to fucking do any of the house shit. And
well, yeah, which is good for me because I live by myself and I'm traveling, so I need to do landscaping while I'm on the road for 8 months. You know, but that's cool. I would move back to Ludlow. I loved it here.
There's something about like a small town that like, you know, people knowing each other, and like, you know, it's like you were saying, you go to Joey's, like we're the same way. Me and my girlfriend, we live there on like Sunday mornings, and you know, going there and everybody knowing you, and I go to Montalegre nearby, and
you go there too, huh?
Dude, yeah, but
you probably see all the guys I used to work with at Pop and Cork that own Pop and Cork now.
Who the Rodrigues?
Yeah.
Phil, I know Phil. Yeah, I know Phil and Jeff. Yeah, Phil. Have you seen Jeff's new truck?
Is that the black one that's in the parking
giant
lot?
GMC that looks like a monster? That thing is
awesome.
Badass. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering whose that was. I just drove by Pop and Cork, and I was like, I wonder whose truck. Because I can see my cousin's truck in there still, but because he's had it for like 13 years or something. But yeah, that's a nice truck. Holy shit.
Why'd you guys sell the business? Were you looking to sell it?
Things just went downhill. It's just things weren't going correctly once my grandparents died. It's just weird, you know. It was a really like thriving business.
I was gonna say that's a good location, and obviously,
the
one thing about liquor sales, they say like if the economy's good or bad, they always consistently.
Yeah, if people are happy, they drink. If people are sad, they drink.
I say that all the time. Like if I get promoted, let's go have a drink. If I get fired, I'm like, I need a drink. You know?
It was just run wrong.
Really?
Yeah, while we had it, so a lot of things should have been done differently. So,
dude, running a business sucks, man.
It got to the point I was gone. For the last like 4 years of it, I wasn't even there. I was just gone all the time. So it just every time I would come back from tour, it would just get worse and worse. And my dad was just like, I've
had enough.
I was gonna sell it.
Yeah. Well, if you were doing shit anyway, so he wasn't leaving you hanging, you know. So
yeah, it was good timing actually. It was right. They sold it right when I actually finally started making money in music. So it was like just enough in time where I could still like eat.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
It was good. I got really lucky with the timing on that one.
Well, and you got lucky that you could come back to a steady job and go on the road. And
well, yeah, during the time in music when I wasn't making any money, I was coming off the road and working a lot, and nobody else was really in the band. So,
because where do you find a decent job where you can just hop in and out like that?
Yeah, I was really lucky for the first like 5 years with that. Thank God.
Yeah,
and then thank God the money was there once like 2008 rolled around.
Yeah,
because I would have been homeless.
Yeah. Well, that's that's why sometimes you look at like big bands and you just assume that they got lucky, but it's like before they get to that level, they did a lot of shitty gigs, they did a lot of struggling, a lot of eating like shit, a lot of
even big bands now don't make a ton of, like, people think we're rich and we're not. You know, the music industry is bad as far as like income for the musicians go.
Dude, I just saw a documentary, Artifacts, the 30 Seconds to Mars documentary on Netflix about their whole fight with the record company, and it's amazing when you hear it, like, and actually I've gotten in a debate with our mutual friend Joe Urban about, he's like, oh, the music business is, I'm like, no, dude, you don't understand. Like, bands should.
Joe's probably drunk.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and if he is, he's probably saying some weird shit. But but the thing is that if I'm like, dude, there's no reason why bands should be selling out places and losing money and being in debt. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. I'm like, you know what it is? It's scummy. Music business, that what they do, they do. And then people say, well, they have to pay for this. They do, but those charges are made up. Those numbers are made up. You don't know what the actual cost of these things are. They just throw in fucking numbers.
Yeah.
I heard just recently they just got rid of they had like a number for if a record broke and they charge the band for that, and they just removed that from contracts recently. Like, and they haven't had records in forever. And I'm just like,
So stupid.
yeah. I'm like, 30 Seconds to Mars was a perfect example of a band that was, you figure, wait, they weren't making money. They were fucking huge. Like,
Yeah, they're big. They still are big.
Yeah, they still. And I'm like, wait, they're not making money. And you hear about like all these bands, like Smashing Pumpkins and everybody else fighting with their record labels.
Another Ludlow person in Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, I heard. Who is that?
Nicole Ferrantino. She went to high school. She wasn't in my class, and I don't know her, but I'm pretty sure she was like a year older than me, maybe. But she plays bass in Smashing Pumpkins, so that's cool.
Wild. Yeah.
You don't really hear Ludlow stories like that very often.
How come, like, even Stain, for example, like, everybody always says they're a Springfield band. Like, you never hear anybody relate them to Ludlow.
Yeah. I remember the drummer coming into Poppincork one time and buying a keg. I was like, holy shit.
Oh, John Wachowski, or what was
whatever his name was.
Yeah.
I just remember, I was like, you're in Stained, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I play in All That Remains. And he was like, oh yeah. Like, he knew it. Dude, you could tell he was kind of like, just don't talk to me too much, please. I just want to get out of here. I wasn't bothering him.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things where, like, as a fan, it's like you want to let somebody know that you're a fan of theirs, but you don't want to, it's hard to, like, well, I don't want to be fanboy.
And it was cool. He just came out. I was like, whoa, I know you.
Yeah.
Especially in Ludlow, because you're not going to see like celebrities in Ludlow.
Yeah, it's not like L.A. and yeah.
Yeah. My first experiences in L.A. were pretty mind blowing. Just being like, we were sitting at the Rainbow Room and like Jerry Cantrell walked in from Alice in Chains, and I was like losing my mind. Like it was weird to be in a city where you like stars were just roaming around. I was like, I would go see Steel Panther because they would play every Monday night in L.A. at the Key Club, and there's always celebrities there. I remember the Girls Next Door chicks, all those Playboy girls. They were all there, and like Chyna, the wrestler, and all these famous people. I was standing right next to Ron Jeremy one night, and I was drunk, and I was just punishing him. You could tell he didn't want to talk to me, but I was hammered, and I was just yelling in his ear. So that was fun.
You're here, but your dick's outside, right? Because it's long.
He had just been in Springfield at the Mardi Gras for like an appearance, and I was just like running my mouth about that, and he didn't want to hear it.
Dude, it's funny because when I went to Vegas, it was the same thing. Like, I went to Vegas and just running, and I remember the Pussycat Dolls were there, and I think Little John was there, and the first day there, you're like starstruck, and after a while, you're like, holy shit, you do get immune to this. Like,
when you're from a small town and stuff, it's weird.
Yeah.
But after a while, it's like whatever.
Yeah, you do realize that they're just people, and you become a little immune to it, but. So you got a show coming up in 2 weeks in the 19th.
Yeah, Pearl Street.
The album coming out in
February 24th.
24th. And don't tweet you because you're off Twitter.
You can tweet at me. I'll read it.
Yeah. And
but I'm probably not going to say anything.
Yeah. And
you can direct message me. I'll probably talk to you through direct message first. I saw it because you just followed, right?
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah. I noticed.
Oh, so you keep up with shit. Oh,
I see it because the little thing buzzes on my phone.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. I lose far more followers now than I gain because
you're not doing anything.
People just know. Like, it's just like click.
Yeah. So look out for that, and hopefully we have them on again next time, and we'll have to,
I'm 15 minutes away. Whenever you want to do this, I'm down.
Well, are you guys? You're not going to be down for too long because you're going to be touring after, right?
Yeah, starting in February, we're going to start doing. We'll probably be gone most of the year.
Oh, really?
Once February rolls around.
Just U.S. or are you going to do Europe eventually?
I don't know yet. Probably a little bit of everything. I'm sure that's usually what happens every album. So.
Yeah, and touring is, like you said, that's where you make the money because people have no attention spans anymore.
No, the internet ruined everything, and streaming music sites, just fucking bands left and right.
Remember when you used to like just sit down and like just listen, like open a CD and listen to the album and just chill and listen to the album,
and you paid for it,
and the
bands made money. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. So
yeah, I mean it's
crazy. Like when you see, like, if I look at our top 5 songs on Spotify, and I think it's, if you add them up, it's probably 10 or 12 million plays, which is a lot. It's not like Taylor Swift a lot, but it's a lot. We make nothing from Spotify. Maybe like a royalty check, you'll see like $20 in there or something. It's ridiculous.
Well, you still get paid for every time like hit, some of your bigger singles get played on radio.
Yes, that's good.
So you could be like retired like 10 years from now. If 2 weeks continues to get played, then you'll still be getting a little.
Yeah. If you turn into like a classic rock band like the Eagles and you have 20 songs in rotation all day long, their radio checks are probably phenomenal for the rest of their lives.
Never have to work again.
I don't really think our kind of music is going to end up like the Eagles or the Rolling Stones, but
hey, it could be our generation's version of it.
I would love it if it was, but It's just crazy. The streaming stuff and you can just steal anything. It's not good. For the longevity.
You still
of
buy
bands.
CDs?
I do, yeah. I love
do
it.
too,
I still
yeah.
like buying CDs. I think it's fun to go to the store and it's like an event for me. But I'm
Well,
old.
I don't go to FYE so like depressing now that I just order them, but I still order CDs. Yeah, I mean,
it's just weird. It sucks because like
if you like a band, why not support them? Like the way I look at it is that like, okay, if I like this band, and if I want them to continue to make music, like me buying their shit is gonna, and it's especially as I get older and now I don't go to as many shows as I used to because I just don't have the energy for it or I have to wake up the next day for work.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
the
know,
way it is.
yeah, and so it's like, you know, I'm like, well, I can't support them by going to the show as much as I'd like. So, you know, buying the album is like the next best thing. And so I mean, and I still enjoy like, because the thing is too about an album is that when you guys write that shit, like the art has something to do with the you know, the feel of the album, the lyrics, all this stuff. And it's like, I like to open that. Yeah, I used to. And so now it's like people will download one song, never hear the rest of the album, and that'd be it.
And then go on the internet and complain.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just that things have been like that for so long now that, you know, people just assume it, like kids just come up assuming it's free. They don't really know any other way. They don't know that they're stealing it because that's just the way it is.
But you look at it like the generation we live in today, like today's, like we have more free shit than we've ever had. Like when we were growing up, if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to go rent it. If you wanted to go, you know, if you wanted to read a book, you had to buy it or go to a library. Like today, you can learn how to fucking tie a tie in seconds. Just go online and Google it, you know, YouTube it. Like information, there's more free information now than ever. And I think, and I think you're absolutely right. I think that's changed the psychology of people, where people are so used to not paying for things and getting free stuff.
Yeah, you
which
just assume.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing, but I mean, obviously, when it's harming the artist, like obviously, it can be a bad thing. I think that it's good that we're, you know, people, there's more free information and stuff out there, but I think that, you know, it's one of those things where if it's an old book that was written, you know, 100 years ago that, you know, about philosophy, or if it was Plato, the Republic, then that's okay, because Plato is not going to look for his money. But, you know, so, and you can still influence a lot of people and get that information out there. But if it's an artist that's playing today and trying to make enough money to continue playing today, then obviously, you know, it becomes a huge hit.
A lot of our friends' bands kind of quit this year. That's a shame, you know.
Really?
They're just not making enough money. You know, bands like Bleeding Through and Chimera.
Oh, they quit?
They stopped. Chimera's
been around
Shadows
for a long
Fall
time.
pretty much announced that, like, that's pretty much it, besides like maybe a local show here and there. It's just a bummer, you know.
Dude, Chimera and Chimera was one of those bands that were, and Bleeding Through were one of those bands that were like really heavy and still like did keyboards and, you know, and stuff like that. They were
just crazy that you know, you can't go do it.
But the other thing too is I realized, like, I remember when I first started doing the podcast, I thought, I was trying to like why does this show get downloaded more than that show, or why did the downloads go up and down? And I always thought like, oh, I had to do a guess, you know. But I have such a range of like filmmakers and I've had investigative journalists, New York best-selling authors, and I'm just like, and I'm like, there's no consistency. I'm like, who the fuck is what, you know? And then I realized, oh, you know what it is? It's how often I put them out, because people have ADD today. So if I put one out every couple, you know, maybe every 4 or 5 days or every week, all of a sudden my downloads fly up. And then if I don't put shit out, if I put one out every 2 weeks, all of a sudden people are like, oh, he hasn't done anything lately, and there's all these other things trying to get my attention that I'm going to completely stop paying attention to you, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing today. It's just like there's so much music out there, there's so many podcasts, there's so many things fighting for a kid's attention.
You look at the top of the chart list on podcast, on the iPhone, just for like the podcast app. The top one, it's a bajillion.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about podcasts until like a year ago.
Really?
And there's just like I can't believe how many of them there are.
Oh yeah, and there's tons of them where people started doing them and then like they did 10 episodes and they stopped. So that now they're just roaming around iTunes and you know, just adding to the list of a billion podcasts that you know, nobody's ever going to listen to, because it's just almost too easy to do that everybody attempted to do it. And then, you know, and it just, I mean, there's something nice to that, because I think that the good ones and the one, you know, just like music, the good ones will, you know, will stick around while the other trendy stuff will end up fading away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you know, yeah, but you're right. Yeah, there's tons of them. But you know, I think it's the future of media. I think that people are sick of watching, you know, MSNBC or Fox News or even just fucking, you know, censored comedy on TV or whatever. I mean, I think that's why, you know, I brought up Opie and Anthony and like stuff like that. It's like, well, you can listen to a morning show, you know, that's censored and they have borders, and then you can listen to Opie Anthony that if they want to be racist, they act racist. If they want to, if they want, which obviously got one of them in trouble recently. But
Well, I remember when they got fired from AAF.
AAF, yeah, what was they?
I forgot what it was, but it was something
They
stupid.
announced that like the mayor died or something like that.
Oh, yeah, it was a prank.
Yeah, and then like
That
they
is kind of shitty.
yeah,
When you're fucking with like people maybe thought he died and maybe some people close to him were upset. I don't know the fake death thing. That's
yeah, that is a little, yeah, that's
and
a
you
little
can't
far.
you can't cross lines with me. Like the more offensive the better to me. But when you're dealing with like
I think that's the East Coast thing, man. It's I love East Coast comedy. Like that's why I love Nick DiPaolo. I love Joe Rogan. I love Jeff Ross. I just love guys that are just like, they're like dudes that you want to hang out with. Like they're the ones who are going to tell you like the good jokes, like the just talk about how much they hate their wives, or like, just like men, it's like, no, for a lack of a better term, it's
fun.
It's just there's something about
angry.
like, I think it's the weather, like Joe Rogan's talked about how he thinks it's the weather in the East Coast, like something about dealing with winter that makes us like a little tougher. Like,
this time of year it'll suck the life out of you. You gotta trudge through it.
Oh yeah, dude. Like today, it's a depressing fucking day.
It is miserable
You're
today.
motivated to do nothing. Like I was thinking to myself, like, yo, if Mike doesn't show up, I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm not even motivated to fucking like get out of bed this morning.
I slept till noon. I went to the gym and ate. That's the only thing I did today. That's it.
That's all right.
Took a shower, came here. My day's just getting started. I'm gonna be up till 5.
Nice. Hey, Plan B still serving food.
I know, dude. I live at that place. God, I go there like 3 times a week.
Well, dude,
I was gonna go to Pizza Corner, but I think I'm not gonna have time.
what time do they close? 9 or 10?
It's 9 now. Yeah, I gotta.
Well, we can wrap this up, and then
Yeah, I have to pee really bad.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we should wrap it up.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks everybody for listening. Mike, I think we told you everything about his upcoming shit. He'll probably be on again, hopefully in the future. And I'll see you guys next time. I got another show. Hopefully, if everything goes as planned, I got Yap from 1 Minute Silence on Saturday. Then I got some more shows next week. So just keep up, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.